Good afternoon, Major James, commissioners, community partners, and friends of Palm Beach State College. First, thank you for this recognition for giving our students the opportunity to share Forge Freedom with the community at 4th on Flagler. It means a lot to our college and especially to these students to have their work seen and celebrated in such a meaningful way. Your support not only honors this remarkable work, it shines a spotlight on the power of education, craftsmanship, and student achievement right here in West Palm Beach. What you heard in the proclamation is impressive on paper, 350 hours, 325 pounds of steel, but what really stands out is the heart behind it. This team of 11 students showed up day after day, worked together, solved problems, and turned an idea into something powerful. To our students, Gabriel, Elijah, Jaden, Timothy, Kebert, Michael, Connor, Volodymyr, Dejane, Dilijana, and Janae, we are incredibly proud of you. You didn't just build a sculpture, you built something that tells a story about resilience, about progress, and about where we're headed as a country. You have represented Palm Beach State College and the entire state of Florida with excellence. At PBSC, this is exactly what we're about, hands-on learning that leads to real skills, real careers, and real impact in our community. The work happening in our welding labs and across our trade programs is helping build the future, literally. Major James, thank you again for your continued support of our students and our mission, and to this incredible team, congratulations. You've given all of us something to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you again. Now it's my turn to be on the receiving end of something. Item 7.1, I believe we got a check that I'm going to come receive from Representative Javante Edmonds and Senator Mac Bernard for the West Palm Beach Membrane Pilot Testing Project. Do you all want to say something first before I get the money?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Mr.
all right,
Mayor.
that's fine, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, commissioners, and city administrator, and your city attorney. On the 22nd of June, I was here and Representative Edmonds was here, and we were able to provide a legislative update in regards to what happened in Tallahassee. And we talked about the exciting projects that were in the budget for the entire city of West Palm Beach. And so we're here to present one of the checks to the city of West Palm Beach, but I do want to go over some of the other projects that we're getting for the city of West Palm Beach, because if we don't tell the story, then the only other projects that's going to be mentioned are the projects that are vetoed. And so we're able to get 11 projects funded for the entire city of West Palm Beach, which totals $17 million, $478,775 projects within the city of West Palm Beach.
Can you repeat that, please? Just say it again.
So, Mr. Mayor, I will repeat it to Mr. Alan Sicklin because he is here, because he saw me before we came in, and he was like, you know, you're here to do a check presentation, you're a minority in the Democratic Party, so we're gonna say that $17 million, $478,775 that the governor did not veto for projects in the city of West Palm Beach. The first project, the Boys and Girls Club Teen Workforce Readiness Center. We received $1.5 million for that project. Roosevelt Elementary School Program Enhancement, $440,000. The Palm Beach County Australian Avenue Drainage Improvement Project that Commissioner Ward, and you've worked on this before, we received $2 million for that project. The YMCA of the Palm Beaches Community Center, $1.5 million. The Cox Science Center and Aquarium Expansion, $3 million. The Youth Center at the Lord's Place, $500,000. The West Palm Beach Fire Department Hazardous Materials Emergency Response Package for $163,275. And the West Palm Beach Okeechobee Rail Safety, which is the Fern Street crossing, $3 million. The Downtown West Palm Beach Signalization Upgrades, which is the Phase 3, we received $3 million for that project. And the Palm Beach Atlantic University Public Center, we received $2 million. And Representative Edmonds will present the check for the membrane pilot program. And before he does that, I want to thank the senators, Senator Harrell, Senator Berman, Senator Polsky, for their work for the city of West Palm Beach, and also the state representatives who worked on behalf of the entire delegation, but also for West Palm Beach. And there are Representative Weinberger, Representative Snyder, Representative Edmonds, who's here, Representative Emily Gregory, Representative Ann Gerwig, Representative Tendridge, Representative Long, who's our newest member, Peggy Gossett-Seidman, and Representative Skidmore. So we're really happy about bringing these exciting projects to the city of West Palm Beach, and now we'll bring Representative Edmonds to present the check.
Before you leave, Senator Bernard, let me publicly thank you. You know, teamwork makes the dream work, and so I know you led the charge, certainly from the Senate, Representative Edmonds from the House side, but you had to reach across the aisle on behalf of our city. So I thank both of you publicly for the leadership that you demonstrated to bring home such significant accomplishments, fiscal returns from Tallahassee. Thank you.
Mayor, commissioners, city staff, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your great words, Mayor. As you said, this is truly a team effort, and I got to recognize my Senate sponsor who just spoke. Senator Bernard is one of the most experienced legislators that we have here in Palm Beach County, so it's always an honor and pleasure to work with him. So we're very thankful to be here today. With me is my district aide, Kiana Kelly. Also representing Representative Gregory's office is Tom. You want to raise your hand? And so together, we're able to make this process happen. So we were able to secure $375,000 for the city water's membrane project. And this is very simple. The project will test technology that can turn water from a deeper underground source into safe drinking water. And this is going to help our community have cleaner, stronger, and more reliable water for the future. So the 100,000 residents here in West Palm Beach can have safe and clean water. So again, this is thanks to our legislative delegation, the members in the House and the Senate. So I would welcome you all to join us for a picture with the check. And again, thank you so much. Come on, team.
Again, that's a lot of bacon that came home from Tallahassee. All right, we now are turning to some appointments, beginning with item 8.1. City Commission approval is requested for my reappointment of Peter C. Pivko to the Planning Board for a term of 3 years to expire on June 26, 2029. Mr. Pivko has served over the maximum allowed number of terms, which is 3, and therefore it is required that the City Commission confirm his reappointment. Do we have any cards on this? All right, if there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the reappointment of Peter C. Pivko to the Planning Board for a term of 3 years to expire on June 26, 2029.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.2, City Commission approval is requested for my reappointment of Jacqueline E. Taylor to the Parks and Recreation Committee for a term of 2 years to expire on October 26, 2028. Ms. Taylor has served over the maximum allowed number of terms, which is 3, and therefore it is required that the City Commission confirm her reappointment. We have any cards on this? All right. Any discussion, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the reappointment of Jacqueline E. Taylor to the Parks and Recreation Committee for a term of 2 years to expire October 26, 2028.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.3, City Commission approval is requested for my reappointment of Ron Warnicki to the Nuisance Abatement Board for a term of 2 years to expire on April 29, 2028. Mr. Warnicki has served over the maximum allowed number of terms, which is 3, and therefore it is required that the City Commission confirm his reappointment. We have any cards on this?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any questions, comments? No discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the reappointment of Ron Warnicki to the Nuisance Abatement Board for a term of 2 years to expire on April 29th, 2028.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now turn to consent calendar, items 9.1 through 9.5. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Items 9.1 through 9.5. Do we have any cards on consent?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. If there is no discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.1, resolution number 161-26, approving a term sheet with Pinecrest Preparatory School for the sale of approximately 57 acres of city property for the development of a school. Mr. Fana?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Armando Fana, Deputy City Administrator. So this evening, I'm going to give you a little bit of recent history on the property in discussion, as well as an update of the term sheet that was established previously for this property, and then what the next steps will be after this meeting. So let's start with a little bit of the recent history. Resolution 5425, which was passed in March of this past year, or actually the year before, in 2025, did a few things. One of them was declared the property as surplus property, and it's the southern 55 acres of the property you see on your screen. It also approved the original term sheet for what would be a potential future private school. At the time, there was no school that was identified or provider, so it was only listed as a negotiation for a future school. There was also appraisals done at the time, and in the resolution, it was accepted that the cost, the selling price of the property would be $6.6 million. And the City Commission added a provision during the hearing that any future appraisals would be the higher of a future appraisal or this $6.6 million. And I'll talk a little bit more about the appraisals as we move on. So the previous term sheet did not have an identified provider, as previously mentioned. Earlier this year, the school was approached by Pinecrest School, which is one of the most prestigious schools in Florida, if not the country. They've received national recognition for academic excellence, including the National Blue Ribbon recognition and Presidential Scholars, among many other recognitions and awards. I mean, they are a fantastic school. The mayor and I had an opportunity to tour the school back in May, and
I came away extremely impressed, not just with the campus itself, which was absolutely beautiful. The security of the campus was top-notch. The faculty we talked to was fantastic. But the thing that what impressed me the most was the students and getting a chance to interact with some of the students. We had students that gave us a tour, as well as students that we interacted with throughout the tour that we were given, sometimes impromptu interactions with the students, and just incredibly impressive facility, how you interacted with the students. I mean, if we could replicate that type of education throughout the country, I think we'd be a much better country for it. So we are looking at a top-notch school and a fantastic opportunity for this city to be able to have this type of school and attract the school to the city. So let's talk a little bit about the new term sheet. As I mentioned, we had a previous term sheet. In essence, what we're doing now is having a direct term sheet with Pinecrest School, which allows for the development or the negotiations for a final sales contract for the development of pre-kindergarten through 12th grade school, and that property would be use restricted for that use. Protection of existing and future well field areas that are on the north side of the property. So you have the 55, 57 acres on the south end. The north end, we have some existing well fields and potentially future well fields. That area would be protected. They're also, the Pinecrest is offered to also help us with the access to those well fields. Right now, just as a kind of a dirt road, circular access on that property. They've offered to help build better access to our well fields. There will also be a contribution of $1.5 million for a future pump station or a similar facility that would not only help with the school, but also water pressure in the surrounding area. As I mentioned, the construction of the access roads, financial assistance for students of the city of West Palm Beach who qualify for entry into the school. And I think a lot of you have met with the school, and they have an extensive financial assistance program. I mean, in some cases, over 90% of the tuition, plus assistance with other types of expenses that they may have, whether it's laptops or extracurricular activities, are also included in their financial assistance, which is need-based financial assistance program. And then 18%, a minimum of 18% of the cost of the construction would be set aside for certified small businesses in Palm Beach County or certified with the city. Let's talk a little bit about the sales price and the appraisals. So as I said, there was 2 appraisals, actually it was 4 appraisals done previously, and the average of the appraisal that was brought to you back in 2025, the average was 6.6 million, a little over 6.6 million. Those appraisals were updated in April of this year, 2026, and the appraisals actually averaged out to a little over 5 million, so it was less than the original $6.6 million. Now, the question has come up before, I think in the previous time I was before this body in 2025, as to why is it $6.6 million? So there's factors that go into that, that the appraisal takes into account. The main factor is that this is restricted to a school use. If we were to open this up to any kind of use, or even let's say a housing at 32 units an acre, and you're building multifamily housing or single family housing, of course the appraised value would be much higher. What is only allowed for here, and that would be deed restricted, is a school use. So that is the biggest impact in terms of valuation. You're also looking at basically a virgin site. There needs to be a lot of demucking and site preparation for this site. There is a wetlands mitigation credit that needs to be paid to the state. I believe it was about $1.5 million. That was not taken into account in the previous appraisals. We did not know about that. So that is a new valuation deduction, I should say, that was not previously there. And then, of course, the water pump installation that I mentioned as well. So, these appraisals are not done by the city or by anybody else. It's a third party that the city has hired. We've had 3 appraisals now over the last 2 years, and they've all come out to more or less the same thing. So that's where we're at in terms of valuation. So as ordered by the commission at the last hearing that we did on this, it would be the higher of the either the newest appraised value or what was previously agreed to. The higher in this case is the previously agreed to $6.6 million. So that it is what the sales price would be. So I'm going to talk a little bit about demand for private schools. And I don't think it's lost on this body or anybody maybe in this room that the city of West Palm Beach has experienced a high demand for all kinds of amenities within the city. Ever since COVID, obviously, we've had a lot of capital that's flowed into the city of West Palm Beach. We've had high demand for new condos. We've had high demand for single-family homes. We've had high demands for high-end restaurants and shopping. And all that has taken place over the last 4 years. That also extends to private schools, where there has been an increase in demand. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Apologize. So 2025 study that was done by the Concord Group showed that by 2030, Palm Beach County would require an additional 3,000 additional Tier 1 private school seats. And that is not including what already was either under construction or planned to be under construction. And a Tier 1 private school is generally for households that are over $400,000 a year. So it's upper income households, which is a lot of what the influx has been over the last few years of the households that are coming in from the Northeast and other parts of the country. So there's been a lot of articles written over the last couple of years regarding that demand. And most of it is driven by in-migration, but there's also demand for private schools because of the state's voucher program as well, which allows for the use of vouchers for private schools, particularly with some of the religious institutions. So there's just all around been an increase in demand for private schools, and there's no sign that that's really going to wane anytime soon. I believe like right now we're in a deficit of close to 600 seats just at the moment without anything being constructed. So the demand exists and will likely continue to exist as long as we have Vanderbilt coming in, Cleveland Clinic, all these institutions that are bringing in high-paying jobs and high net worth households. So where are we now? This is a term sheet. So what happens now is if you approve the term sheet, the Pinecrest School will continue on their due diligence on the property. We've only had discussions for maybe about 2 months now, if that. So there's still some due diligence that needs to be done on their end. The area needs to be rezoned as well. We'd have to do a future land use amendment and rezoning, so that's going to take some time. We would come back to this body with a final sales agreement that would lay out the final terms and conditions, including the price and everything I've mentioned in the term sheet. Some minor things may change as we go along, but for the most part, what's in the term sheet will be what comes back to you. We've also been working for a while on a grant agreement with the school district for Roosevelt Elementary. So the proceeds of the funds that we get from this project would hopefully be funneled to a public school, in this case, Roosevelt Elementary. Actually, you just heard Roosevelt Elementary received an award from the state to help improve academic and the physical school itself. And so we've been negotiating on what those terms and conditions look like. And I would bring that before this, or somebody would bring that before this body over the next couple of months in terms of that term sheet with the school district, which will lay out what the performance standards are and the proceeds that were going to be used from this, the sale of this property. And so we expect the closing would take place somewhere around the first quarter of next year, and finalizing that. And we do have a lot of folks here from Pinecrest, and thank you for coming all the way from Broward to be here. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain questions at this time. And we have the folks from Pinecrest who can also answer questions.
Questions for Mr. Fauna, and then I want to see if some folks from Pinecrest would like to speak as well. President Faduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple questions. Is this parcel a single parcel, or are there multiple parcels? Do you know?
So right now it's a single parcel. We would the bottom 57 acres or so would be carved out for this particular purpose, and then we would retain ownership of the rest.
Okay, follow up, Mayor.
Yes.
And would that entire 57 acres be subject to the deed restriction of school use only?
Yes, And we've had some discussions of the potential. There is still an additional, I can't remember how many acres, I want to say maybe 15, 20 acres that are to the west on that same bottom corridor that could be a potential for a future multifamily project to house the faculty of the school, or potentially even students maybe, but we're not there yet. We'd have to come back for that. We haven't really discussed any potential details of that, but that again would be use restricted for that use if it came back, for that use and for the school.
And final question.
Yes.
Is the deed restriction in perpetuity?
We have not determined that, but it would probably be like a 90-year or in perpetuity.
Thank you.
So.
Commissioner Ward?
Thank you. So I understand, looking at the LOI, that there's the inspection period for 90 days, and I assume that's before we enter into a purchase and sale agreement?
Correct.
All right.
We anticipate it won't take 90 days, but we're giving them the max time to do their due diligence.
All right, I just want to point out, there's a typo there. It says purchase and sale, 90 days within the purchase and sale, not the term sheet, and so I feel like that should be corrected. It's on page 3, Kimberly. And follow-up?
Yes.
The construction period, talk to me about why it's 5 years commencement for construction and another 5 years to complete, because I know that there's built-in phases, but we provide for the phases. So 5 years to start seems like a long time, and then 5 years to then get construction underway and developed, at least for that first phase, seems like a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to build in as much flexibility as possible. I mean, we look at the golf course that we had, that took a few years to get developed. But I'll let, if somebody from Pinecrest could come up maybe and speak to the time frame.
Hi, Commissioners. Todd Rosenberg, Chair of the Board of Trustees at Pinecrest. Thank you so much for having us here today, and we are very excited. To answer your question, Commissioner, as Armando said, the goal really is to just build in as much cushion. We have no expectation that it should take anywhere near that long for us to be able to break ground. It's our intention to get moving as efficiently and as quickly as possible, work with the Commission to get proper zoning, site plan in place, and commence construction. We're moving full speed even while we work with you guys on the formalities of the LOI and the PSA.
Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up?
I do, and it's not necessarily to pressure you, and I appreciate it, and obviously this is very exciting. I hear so many things, and I wish I had been able to visit the school before you guys went into a summer session, but I just feel like 5 years, if our PSA is contingent upon us rezoning, and 5 years to then get everything together to then start construction, another 5 years to construct, I can understand maybe the 5 years of construction, and I can slightly understand that. I just feel like 5 years to get to that point gives too much cushion, and I was just assuming, given you're talking about the need at 2030 of another 3,000 seats, I think it would be more appropriate to have a 2 to 3 year period versus 10 years total. And given the fact that we only have $100,000 for liquidated damages is another concern that I have, but I'm assuming that also is contingent upon there being a reverter in the event that we don't follow through. This is more for, sorry, Armando, not for you, because it doesn't mention anything about that in the term sheet. There's only the liquidated damages of $100,000, not necessarily what happens to the property and how we take it back.
Yeah, when we get to the final sales agreement, there will be clauses in there that allow us to revert if there's no school built. If it is the Commission's desire to shorten that time frame, we can certainly build that into the final sales agreement and have it where it could be like a 3 year with a 2 year extension with some conditions if they can't, whatever, there's a hurricane or something else happens in an act of God that we could then extend that period of time. If that is the desire of the City Commission, we can certainly build that into the final sales agreement.
Right, I feel like we're all working in good faith here, but I just still feel like that to me shows, hey, we're really actually taking this seriously and we really want to move forward, but I leave that to my colleagues as well.
Did you want to address that at all, or?
Yeah, by the way, I think that's not a bad idea. Again, I think there's a lot to flush out in the PSA. Very good suggestion. We're, like I said, in no way, shape, or form looking to take anywhere near the 5 years. So I think we can definitely shorten up the time frame subject to normal force majeure, tolling, things that would be beyond our control.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for Armando,
All right.
thank you. Just two quick questions. Could you just confirm, was it 57 acres or 55?
It's 57 acres. There are two additional acres that are going to be used for an access area, so that they weren't in the original appraisal. However, we know what the valuation of that is based on the per acre valuation, and we've been working with them on the final sales agreement. There'll be some concessions on some things that they're going to do on our behalf, such as the road, that would contribute to that gap, if there is a gap.
Your follow-up?
Yes, thank you. And in reference to the infrastructure, so Pinecrest is solely responsible for infrastructure, or will this come back before the city for
That's
additional
correct,
requests?
yes. They will be solely responsible for all the development on the site for their school, and including the access road, which is not part of the 55 acres, including the pump station that I mentioned. They would be the pump station will be responsible to contribute to it, but everything else they're going to be building, and they'll be responsible for all of it. And there could be a traffic signalization depending on what comes out of the traffic analysis, but all those types of improvements would be on them.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask about the financial aid. I'm not sure if this is something you know, Armando, but I'm wondering if we can include in our contract a certain percentage of the financial aid going towards West Palm Beach residents, should they qualify. I know that there's a qualification needed to get into the school and the tuition assistance that might be needed, but it would be great to be able to prioritize West Palm Beach residents
Yeah,
for some of these.
I think there is some language that we can include in terms of prioritization. It's sort of hard to determine percentages because they have to qualify for the school academically, but if anybody wants to address that from Pinecrest. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We're excited to be here tonight. Yes, it's quite
If you
hard
could
to-
just, we're taping it, so if you could just state your name for the record, please.
Thank you. I'm Dana Markham, president of Pinecrest School. We are need-based, so it is hard to qualify at an exact number. Right now, we give 15 to 18% of our schools in Broward and Boca Raton financial assistance, and that includes inclusion aid, which Armando did allude to earlier. It's not only the tuition, it's all the extras that the students need to really fully embrace the life of the school. So with that said, we will give priority. We'll waive the application fee. We'll give priority access to come in early, apply early to the residents, and then review their applications as soon as possible.
Follow up. Now, I will allow Representative Pinecrest, if you just want to present, your approach, rather than just answering questions. If you had any remarks you'd like to share with the commission, please.
Sure. Thank you. Pinecrest has been rooted in a traditional education for a while. While we embrace the progress that has been central to our Pinecrest mission, since founded over 90 years ago, we have maintained an unwavering commitment to education excellence while continuing to evolve to meet the needs of the next generation. Pinecrest is preparing a new kind of leader, one who's adaptable, fluent in both algorithms and their consequences, capable of guiding human and AI teams. They are ready to lead whenever the future demands and do so with integrity. We also want to be good community partners, and I have some of my colleagues here who wanted to speak for a minute about the impact we could have on the community.
Absolutely.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Lawrence Malone, Vice President of Fine Arts for Pinecrest School. Service to others is a core value of Pinecrest School students. Our faculty, staff, and students contribute thousands of hours each year to improving life in Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, and well beyond. Some examples. Just this past year, Pinecrest School students collectively contributed 56,684.5 hours of community service through organized programs, student-led initiatives, and individual volunteerism. Students and faculty regularly partner with public schools, nonprofits, food banks, animal shelters, environmental organizations, faith communities throughout Broward and Palm Beach counties. A few examples. Playing for Change is a student-run annual fundraising concert event. We garner contributions from the audiences, completely student-produced and organized. Some of the recipients have been the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospitals, Volta Music Foundation, which is a group that provides instruments for needy students. Souls for Souls is a faith-based organization that our students work with to help provide shoes for children in need. Even our younger students are directly involved. During the 25-26 school year, Pinecrest lower and middle school students contributed an impressive 4,749 hours of community service across 201 dedicated school day hours. Pinecrest facilities teams and staff and faculty add to that impact by volunteering many hours to help deliver collected goods and donations to needy organizations. And finally, Pinecrest faculty and staff serve as volunteers, board members, coaches with local civic organizations, youth sports leagues, arts groups, and community foundations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from Pinecrest wish to speak? Well, listen, thank you all for coming. I did have, as Armando said, did have the opportunity to tour the school. Absolutely fantastic. This will be such a tremendous asset to our community, and the fact that boys and girls from West Palm Beach will have the opportunity to attend a school of the caliber and quality of Pinecrest will be transformative to those students' lives. I predict that. So I'm totally in support of this. Any other comments questions from the dais? Commissioner Ward?
Just not to belabor this, and Armando, this is for the chair, not you, for you, but do you remember or recall, obviously the Boca campus was the newer campus, how long it took from acquisition to when you guys had your first students go? What was the timeline on that?
So it was a little different because Boca Academy was an existing school.
Okay.
It was not a brand new, ground up
construction
project. I would say that we are aligned in wanting to get open as quickly as possible with you. The sooner we can establish our footprint here, the better it is for Pinecrest, the better it is for the community. And I would tell you that we're going to start establishing our roots in the city of West Palm and the greater market long before the school actually opens. We're going to be looking for temporary methods to start reaching out to the community, running programs, et cetera, maybe renting office space where we can have, certain classes beginning, attempting to, maybe do a summer camp, et cetera. So it's absolutely our goal to immediately upon getting the ability to move forward to start working with the community and with the city. Establishing Pinecrest as hopefully a major component of, this part of the county and the city of West Palm.
Follow-up?
Yes.
And I know I asked this when we all met, but I don't know if plans have changed. What are the target starts of the grades? Are you starting lower grades or middle?
So as of right now, it is our intention to do pre-K through 12.
So, right, well, but you're not going to try, no phases.
No phases.
Oh, big, okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a long time since we met, and so if you could refresh my memory, what were the number of scholarship seats that you were planning for?
Scholarships or seats?
What's the difference?
Well, you mean total seats, meaning how many seats are, how many students are we going to offer versus how much financial aid?
The number of seats.
Yeah, sure, but I don't know if we're talking about financial aid or just
I think you're referring to financial aid.
I am.
Yes,
okay,
you are.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Nancy Green, I'm the Vice President for Finance and Operations for Pinecrest School, and I'm pleased to address your question. So basically, that is challenging to say because we don't know exactly what the size of our student body will be upon opening, but just to give you kind of a perspective, currently about 15% of our student population receives financial assistance of some sort at some level depending on their need. So again, it would vary with the student body. Right now we have 400 students, just over, out of our full student body on aid. So,
Thank you. So the intent behind that is to provide opportunities for students that may not have had the ability to qualify financially.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it should not also go understated the benefit to a public school, Roosevelt Elementary, which is in dire need of support. So this is a win-win. And I don't know if in this city's history, if we, the city, has contributed such a significant amount to a single school ever. So the fact that we're able to use these proceeds to invest in a school with such significant needs as Roosevelt Elementary, I think is also outstanding. President Peduzzi?
Thank you, Mayor. And I think that's a point well taken. I think we need to take into consideration that Roosevelt is going to benefit significantly from this. But it does concern me as well that 15% of students receiving financial aid, my understanding, is a fairly low number when you consider private schools in our area and the percentage of students who receive financial aid. But I guess it all depends on who needs the financial aid, who's applying, and who needs the financial aid. But I would think, and this may be more for the applicant, 15%, I said it during our private meeting, seemed a little low to me. But I don't have the exact numbers from other schools. But my understanding informally is that that's on the low side. And I'm not sure if they can address that for us.
Thank you. Yes. Again, I think your observation is exactly right. It depends on the population that's applying. Our rate is significantly higher around the Fort Lauderdale area than it is around the Boca area. Again, where we're positioned in that community and the housing developments surrounding it are different and look different. So it definitely is subjective to who is applying and how it's been. That's not a magical number for us. We're not saying that's what it has to be. It might be larger in the West Palm Beach market once we arrive here. But I was just sharing with you kind of where we are now from that perspective of the two campuses we currently hold.
One more follow-up question.
Yes.
Do you, and I may have asked this before, I don't remember the answer, do you accept that state, I think it's Step Up or scholarship?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. No, we do not accept any vouchers or state funded money. We've made an active decision that we want to be able to remain independent and not subject to perhaps laws that could be easily changed. And so we are fully independent.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sylvester?
Thank you. It has been a while since we met. Probably your question. How many, where do you plan on recruiting teachers? From here, or they're coming up from Lauderdale?
Oh, no, we would be looking all throughout, the community, meaning, of course, West Palm Beach as well. So, I mean, we wouldn't be restricted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, one of the other services you provide is training for other teachers. It may not just be your teachers, but teachers throughout the surrounding areas. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, we do a lot of teacher training as well as administrative level training for all educators. And we have a little section of our program called PC Next, and it's developing and ensuring that we are making the community stronger in that space largely.
Thank you. Commissioner Warren?
And maybe this is for Armando again, and if you could just help me understand how the proceeds will benefit Roosevelt Elementary School. I don't know if you went into very much detail about that.
Yeah, so we still haven't finalized negotiations, but the majority of the dollars would go towards academic performance initiatives. So some of it would go to physical improvements. The state has also contributed some funding. Related Ross's foundation has also committed some dollars to the physical. We would be focused more on the academic part of it, and so we're working through the final grant agreement and what that looks like in terms of performance increases, but we're really close, and I hope to bring that to the commission within the next 30 to 60 days.
And that'll be subject to commission approval?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a grant agreement, so it'll be subject to your approval.
Okay, do we have any cards on this? No, I'm sorry, you said another question?
Yes, another question, Mayor. I'm fully in support of this. I think that it is great that we bring another private school to the area. I think that having those choices for our residents and to attract business to our area is essential. But this might be for the applicant too. 57 acres is a large piece of land. And remind me, have we, is there, it's a deed restriction that we're talking about here for school use. So right now the land is not encumbered with any restrictions for school use. It's only when we enter this agreement?
Well, right now, the land is zoned only for utilities. So we'd have to, that's why we have to go through the rezoning process. No, it's encumbered, it's city-owned property for utility use. We would have, with this bottom southern 55 acres would then go through the process for zoning, and within after we agree on the final terms and conditions for the purchase agreement, that would include then a deed restriction on on those 55 acres, which will no longer be ours, we'll be selling it, but on those 55 acres would be a deed restriction that would be only for school use.
So currently there's it's zoned for utilities. Are
Right.
we currently utilizing?
You couldn't build anything on it right now.
I'm sorry?
You couldn't build anything on it right now, right?
Right. Has it ever been used for utility operations or a water catchment or anything like that?
It's a well field. That northern part of the property is a well field. There is nothing in the southern portion.
Okay. And then the last question, I think it might be for the applicant. 57 acres is a lot of land, as I said before. How does this compare to other land that you have for the other two campuses in size? And how is it, do you need 57 acres? Do you need the whole 57 acres?
Yeah, so we've been looking at this for many years now. And what we modeled this campus after, which we're hoping is going to be the next iteration of what Pinecrest has built over the past 90 years in an even better version, utilized all 50-something acres in Fort Lauderdale, and we've run out of room. You know, what happens is, you know, we want to create not just a traditional school that's multi-level and indoors, but an incredible campus, you know, a place that everyone can be really proud of. And that includes also offering all the programming, sports, facilities that a school of Pinecrest caliber could offer. And that, in many cases, because of the fields, takes up a lot of land. And so at the end of the day, we're trying to be true to our brand and true to what Pinecrest has done and deliver the same quality of facility and infrastructure that we have in our other campuses. Boca Raton, for instance, we wish we had more land. We're now forced to start, you know, building within itself in order to expand for the demand that we've received in the market. I would also like to respond to another question with respect to the teachers. I think it's important to note that we're going to need a lot of teachers. We're going to need a lot of staff. We're going to need a lot of people working at this facility. It's going to create a lot of job opportunities for Palm Beach County and specifically the residents of the city of West Palm Beach. But in addition to that, we're going to be looking for teachers and people from all over the country that will eventually become residents here, you know, and moving to this great community. And these are going to be people who are incredible facilitators and administrators and teachers are now going to be right here in our backyard. So I think the opportunity really is going to be spectacular to be able to create this facility that will attract what I consider to be top talent from all over the country.
Follow up?
Yes.
So you've got 50-some acres already in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And you've got how much space is in Boca? Approximately.
26 acres.
Okay.
And if you came to Boca, happy to show you around, you'd see it's jammed. And we, like I said, have been trying to figure out for years how we can potentially expand and grow. And in reality, we just have to sort of, you know, collapse and then become more efficient and go vertical again. I also want to make one other note. We were talking about financial aid, and I think it's a very important point, you know, that Nancy made. But one of the things that, you know, I find interesting is that, you know, Pinecrest on an annual basis provides over $11 million of financial aid to the proportion of students that ultimately qualify. And like Pinecrest has always said, you know, we want the community to be represented across the board. This is not just about people who make a lot of money or, you know, very wealthy households, but it's about everyone in the community and making sure that we have the capacity and the capability to provide financial aid to the students who qualify, whether they have the economic capacity or not. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we're a non-for-profit. Our goal is to raise as much money as we can so that we can give that back and create the opportunity for everyone, no matter what their background is.
Final follow-up?
Yes.
And the reason I ask about the space is 57 acres sounds like a lot to me, and we have to be, as a body, conscious or conscientious about, you know, giving away city land to a private entity, albeit it's a not-for-profit. So, I mean, I asked you about that before. But, you know, if you didn't need that much land, that land could potentially be utilized for something else that could provide tax revenue to the city. Because you as a not-for-profit, it's not going to be providing any tax revenue to the city, which is not the only thing that we look at, but it's certainly something. It's 57 acres, a lot of land. And we don't know what's going to happen, you know, in the future with property taxes. And so that's why I ask. But I think you've demonstrated that the 56 acres is within the realm of what you need to do a world-class school with fields and things like that. I appreciate those, you know, that information, and I think it makes it a little easier for me. But that's what I was coming into this thinking. Do you need the full amount? Is there any way that we could preserve some of it for future use for something else? But I understand.
Commissioner, there was something, there's been a lot of discussions over the last year and a half, so some things don't come to me until later. But one of the things that we've discussed with Pinecrest, and we discussed even previously when there was even discussions of a potential school going here, is the northern part of that 55 acres would be restricted to like green space and fields because we want to reserve some flexibility on potential future well fields or future wells, I should say. So that was one of the kind of the restrictions we placed upon their site plan that frankly restricted their ability to maneuver a little bit within that site, within that footprint, was to have everything north be green space and fields. So my apologies, I kind of forgot to mention that, because that is a factor in this 57 acres.
All right. No, take how many you want. Commissioner Sylvester.
I think it is your intent to offer at some point workforce housing for teachers. Is that,
We've had discussions on that. I just depends. I think the primary goal here first is to make sure the school part of it is taken care of, and then if there's an opportunity to do that, I think it would be great. We could do that. Certainly it reduces the potential traffic in the area. There's a lot of benefits to it, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Well, my question is that included in the 56 acres? 57? No. Okay.
Commissioner Ward.
You brought up something I'm glad. So the well construction, I know that the school is going to contribute not to exceed 1.5. What are we thinking the entire project's going to cost? Or is that about what we're approximating the entire cost to be?
The entire cost of?
For the well, we're constructing
the
pump
well?
Station, yeah.
The pump station?
Yes.
The pumps are more than that. So we would be covering some of it. They're about probably like $2.5–3 million. We have an initial design that was done many years ago for a pump station there. So we'll save some money probably in terms of design work because some of that's been designed already. But we still haven't completely priced it out. But that's a guesstimate.
Follow up.
Yes.
But this pump station is necessary for the operation of the school, or is it going to be also for the adjacent communities?
No, the thought was because we already there was some preliminary plans for a pump station there to increase the, and as folks who know out west, sometimes there is a little bit less water pressure. So there was already discussions and initial design work for a pump station out west to help with that pressure issue. The school, I don't think it would be required necessarily, but it would be helpful for them, but also for the community just to increase that pressure. So it's a bit of a bonus. I don't think there would be a need necessarily to do it That house has to be, once the civil engineering plans come in, we're not even in a site plan review cycle yet for this project, would determine that. But as far as I know, the capacity was probably there already.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. And we did talk about this when we spoke originally. We talked about scholarships and we talked about percentages. And I went back and looked at some of my old notes and some published financial aid information just for reference. The Benjamin School has 17% financial aid for their students. Oxbridge is at 29%. Cardinal Newman is at 33%. King's is undisclosed, and American Heritage is about 35% scholarship. So I think that those are comparable numbers that should be taken into consideration.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner President Peduzzi?
Thank you. I assume because of those well fields that the sale of this parcel will be subject to municipal utility easements. Will maintain those easements?
Correct.
And access to that land that we still need for utility?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have easements, and like I said, they're also helping with, actually helping us with access into that area. So,
thank you.
Any other comments?
And just so you know, this has been thoroughly reviewed by Public Utilities Engineering. We've, even way before Pinecrest, we've been looking at this in a very comprehensive way.
We have any cards on this matter?
Mr. Mayor.
All right. If there's no discussion, no cards, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 161-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Can I have discussion?
Yes, Commissioner Ward.
I know by the terms it's not binding, and it even says it in there. I just feel like I want to set the expectation, given that this is supposed to set an expectation, that I don't plan on voting for something if we have the 5 in the 5 years. I want something in there that actually discusses something other than $100,000 for liquidated damages, and that we have something more finite, and so and also a little bit more discussion. So I just say that to you, obviously, administrator, and to the school, just to set that expectation, because we're agreeing on this and moving forward with it, but I don't agree with that timeline, and so I have a hesitation. I'm for this, but I also have a hesitation of agreeing on something when I actually don't agree with all of the terms in here.
No,
so.
Understood. And as I said, this will come back to you in a final agreement. You'll have discussions before that, and there's still time. Yeah.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go forth and do well, Pinecrest. We look forward to having you here. All right. Item 10.2, resolution number 162-26, approving a construction contract for the Howard Park Community Center replacement project in amount of $7,549,398.15 with Shift Construction and Development, Inc. Ms. Rockwell.
Good evening again, Mayor, Commissioners. Today I'm here to provide a brief update on the Howard Park Community Center replacement project. So the presentation, we're going to just quickly walk through the project history, design highlights, our bidding and contractor selection, and steps ahead towards a ribbon cutting. This project was included in the 2016 1-cent sales tax project list. So in 2022, the commission selected the architect and design. The architect is Alfonso Hernandez. And in 2024, Sibile Welter, or that's Cantel, sorry, brought before you the Face of the City approval, which included the integrated public art, so we could finalize the construction designs. And you can see here on the screen where Howard Park is. It sits along Parker Avenue, just south of Okeechobee. Now, the new community center will be built just west of the existing facility, keeping strong connections to the park and improving access to the recreation amenities. The rectangle on the top of your screen is the existing facility, and the larger rectangle to the bottom of your screen is the location of the new community center, which will sit along Parker Avenue. So this is a view, which many of you have seen already, of the community center from Parker Avenue. The design features a modern, welcoming structure with improved accessibility, natural light, flexible interior space. The exterior enhancements along Parker Avenue will create a stronger presence and an inviting entry. So right now the community center is set back in the park. You don't even know it's there unless you're familiar with the center itself. Here is an east view. So if you are sitting in the park, looking west towards Parker, this is the backside of the community center. If you are over by the playground or the pavilion that exists in the park, facing southeast, from a southeast view to the north, this is what the facility will look like. And so the existing 1960s building, which is now the community center, will be transformed into an open-air pavilion, preserving the character while adding a versatile outdoor space for programs and community events. So the building is very unique, and we didn't want to just knock it down. We thought we should try and save it. The inside infrastructure, the roof structure, the ceiling structure was just magnificent with its beams. So we are going to be gutting the existing building, expanding or improving the restrooms that sit on either side of the center to create park bathrooms. So after completing design work, we issued an invitation to bid. Shift Construction and Development submitted the lowest responsive bid and exceeded the small business participant requirements with 23%. Their total bid included the commercial kitchen, which we really wanted, and is just over $7.5 million. Per code, section 6694, this contract requires commission approval. I've included a slide that shows like the interior of the building, because we always show you the exterior, but inside the building you'll see the two rooms with the squiggly colorful lines. Those are multi-purpose rooms. One is very large, the other one is a good moderate size, and then also a dance exercise room. There's also going to be a cafe there, so that residents can come and have a cup of coffee. There'll be internet so they can do work from the community center. And they'll smell from this commercial kitchen that we've put in, the smells of fresh baked cookies or muffins or something, so maybe they'll want to come and sit and hang out more here in the park. There's overhang, so there'll be lovely seating outside in the winter when the weather really allows us to sit outside. So it'll be a beautiful space for people to come and hang out and enjoy. So with that being said, I want to thank you for your time, and staff recommends approval of Resolution 16226, authorizing the construction contract with Shift Construction and Development, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. President Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. So I see that Shift Construction was the lowest responsive bid. Have we had prior experience with Shift Construction? Do we know that they're capable of performing and doing it well, other than them just being the responsive bid?
As far as I know, they have not done community center work for the city. However, they have an extensive background of doing community centers, public spaces, public buildings, as well as commercial buildings. So when we look at the companies, we also look to see from their proposals the type of work that they've done, the scope of the work, how much those projects cost to make sure that they are capable of doing this job.
So follow up.
Yes.
So if I started a construction company tomorrow and put in a bid, you'd be looking at me as having no experience and wouldn't be the lowest responsive bid probably, right? So you are looking at their background qualifications and all that to decide whether they're minimally qualified.
Yes, President Peduzzi, you would not qualify for this job. I'm sorry.
Would not.
Any other Yeah, Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. Because you mentioned the commercial kitchen, I know this is very specific, but I'm obviously dealing with Coleman Park and touring there. Is that the similar type of kitchen? Or are you doing
No,
bigger?
the kitchen at Coleman Park is a prep kitchen. It's not a commercial kitchen. It has warming capabilities, but not full cooking capabilities.
Follow-up?
Yes.
So what was the rationale behind creating a commercial the need for a commercial kitchen in Howard?
Because the intent was to have a cafe at Howard Park for people to come and families to come and have breakfast while they're playing on the playground or while there might be a kids program going on in the morning. It was during a time that the design was being done when people needed to get out of their homes because more people were working from home, and that they wanted spaces like a Starbucks where you could sit and work from, and we thought, wouldn't it be nice if they worked from the community center at Howard Park? And that was something that the community had asked for.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sylvester and then Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. Could you go back to the slide with where it had shift construction, that slide? Okay. Here's my question. The 23% small business participation, can you speak a little bit more on that?
I'm going to actually have Frank Hayden from our Small Business Department to come up.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, Commissioners, my name is Frank Hayden. I'm the Director of the Office of Small Business. Commissioner, your question in terms of the 23% proposed by this contractor, and that is being met by those SBE firms which are certified by either Palm Beach County, the City of West Palm Beach, or the school district, if that firm is within Palm Beach County. And so based on those percentages, that's how we came up to the 23 or the 21% that they're proposing.
Yes.
So can I ask who are the 23%? Like what
Off the top of my head, sir, I don't know who the proposers were that they submitted there.
So we're sure they're local, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, we are sure that they are certified by either the city or the county or the school district, and those certified by the school district must be housed in Palm Beach County. So I'm sure that those firms met that criteria, because otherwise they wouldn't have got credit for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. My question was, let's see. So this is being funded through the 1 cent sales tax. And my question is, how much money did we have set aside for this project? I guess back to Commissioner Peduzzi's question, wondering if there's any protections in place to address anything that was like a cost overrun or a delay, because it's a team that we haven't worked with before, and I imagine that we only have a limited amount of sales tax dollars to work with here.
So we were really surprised when the bids came in, and we had $8.3 million to work with, and it came in at 7.5 with the ad alternate of the kitchen.
Okay, great, thank you. Follow up?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the construction work in the park and anything that will be impacted in terms of, the other things that are in the park, the other programs, the other parts of the area that might be closed down for construction, and just communicating with the public to make sure that we let them know how long this is going to take, and what might be a detour that they have to take if they're going to the tennis center or something else.
So the construction will happen in that area where the existing community center is and where the shuffleboard courts currently exist. So those will be demolished there. The playground, the dog park, the existing picnic pavilion will not be affected. We're in the process of ensuring that the restrooms over by the ball fields are going to be open and operational. So when we do have to shut down the park restrooms that are currently over by the shuffleboard court, we'll have restrooms over by the softball field. Tennis will not be affected at all. They have their own parking lot that's off of Lake. So we don't really see a huge issue with the park not being able to use because the whole area just where the community center is going to be built will be the only area that will be closed off to the public.
Commissioner Warren and then Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. I'm not opposed to the city taking on new contractors and doing business with people that we have not done business with previously. I rely on staff to have done due diligence, and I do see that apparently the SHIF currently has an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, which is independent of what we do here. But I do see that they have a strong rating. Do you know how many municipal projects they've actually completed?
I do not know off the top of my head, but certainly we can get that and share it with the commission if they so choose.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
I don't expect you to know everything about like the staging and everything for construction, but Commissioner Fox's question makes me kind of curious about staging, because if they're not closing down any other areas, where are they all going to stage for this construction? It's quite a big project.
I believe well, first we have to meet with them to talk about their staging. So we don't know how they're going to phase in the pavilion, or should I say the existing community center that's going to be gutted, and then the new community center. So they may do one and then the other. So then they would stage in one area and then they would move over to the other. The area that, there's a whole area to the, and of course we'd have to talk to the contractor, but I don't see the park being shut down. I don't see the playground being shut down or the current rental pavilion being shut down, because there's a great deal of space over there that construction can take place, and staging as well.
Follow up.
Yes.
Just a comment, because I feel like they're in the room. Are they in the room? Is Shift Construction in the room? The applicant?
No, they are not.
They're not here? That's interesting. Okay.
Any other questions from the dais?
I just, follow-up comment.
Yes.
Given all the parking issues, one, I can't believe they're not here for this. I'm kind of shocked by that. But given all of the parking issues that have been happening in the neighborhoods, I really want us to press upon a parking plan, making sure that they know that they're responsible for their subcontractors, that they can't say, oh, that's not our people, that's our subcontractors parking in the neighborhoods, because it's happening all over the place, and we need to make sure that we're being very responsive and responsible, and then making sure that we're following up and monitoring who's parking where.
Armando Fana, Assistant City Administrator. So I'm glad you brought that up, because actually we are going through a pretty extensive internal process right now, reviewing the construction management plans to have a more teeth in the enforcement and more ability to monitor that. So we will actually be coming back to the City Commission by the next 30 days with a amendment to the code to allow for greater enforcement and a little more teeth on how we manage the construction parking, because we recognize it's an issue.
Any other, Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I don't want to delay this process because I really want to get this moving forward, but I think that we have discussed some important points here tonight, and especially talking about the parking and the staging, because if some of the park has to be closed in order for staging, in order for it to not impact the neighborhood's parking, that might be something we need to discuss, but I also don't want to have to close the park. So I guess when you continue talking to the Shift Construction about what their plan is, would you be able to just keep us in the loop so that we can communicate with the neighbors?
I will certainly share that information as it becomes available to us.
Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Any other comments from the dais? We do have one card. Michael Cleveland.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, staff. I only have one simple request. Out of all the construction projects in the parks underway and probably completed and scheduled, slated, my concerns is that the waste on these projects. I know in Pleasant City there was quite a bit of waste, money was spent. So I'm going to ask, how can I be privy to information on all the projects on the budget that was planned for the project and the final cost of it, of all the parks in the city that's either been completed in the process of being completed or slated to be done, if that's possible? How would I get that information? Someone can tell me.
You can file a public records request for that information.
To what department?
You could file a public records request for that information.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 162-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.3, resolution number 172-26, approving the reconfiguration of Dreher Trail North in Dreher Park by the Cox Science Center and Aquarium as part of their expansion project. Mr. Fana.
Good evening again, Mayor, Commissioners. Armando Fana, Deputy City Administrator. So, there has been a proposal from the Cox Science Center to the city to modify the existing Dreher Trail North, which is the entrance into Dreher Park from Southern Boulevard that eventually leads to the Cox Science Center. I remember I've driven this road so many times, even way before I came to the city, and I always thought, why are these traffic circles here? It would drive me crazy. I would even try to figure out a way to bypass them. But if you look at the areas in the squares on your screen, that is the existing conditions. You have 2 traffic circles, kind of that curvature part of the road there with some parking, and then further to the south along the Interstate 95, adjacent to Interstate 95, you have sort of a half traffic circle condition as well. The Cox Science Center approached us about modifying this entrance to make it more efficient for what is expected to be increased traffic coming in from Southern Boulevard on that northern entrance to Dreher Park. You've got a lot of things happening in Dreher Park right now. Obviously, you have the Boys and Girls Club, which last time I passed by there a couple days ago was moving quickly. The Cox Science Center as well. I'm actually touring that this week. Looking forward to seeing how that's going. But this would create a more straight path to get into the park, not having to go through the traffic circles, and importantly, it creates additional parking spaces as well on that side. With the added amenities with the Boys and Girls Club and the Cox Science Center, particularly when there's special events going on, traffic is going to be in a premium, parking will be at a premium, so this provides more parking spaces, a more direct path into the actual park area. So this is the first area that you saw on the first slide that has the 2 traffic circles, so we'll eliminate that, straighten that out, and then create more parking. And then this is the current condition on that side, a close-up of it, existing to parallel to 95. And there's parking there as well. There's some parking spaces. And this is the new configuration, which allows for, again, straightens out the road a little bit, so you have less of a, you have more efficiency coming in and out. And you can see that kind of, that area there, that's to the east, that juts out, which would allow for traffic to flow that way as well. So the engineering department has reviewed this thoroughly and looked at the plans and approved them, as well as our Parks Department. And we are working with the Cox Science Center and their engineering group, which is Kimberly Horn, along with the contractor that will do the work. And it'll be under a license agreement. What you're approving here is the license agreement along with the, well, the license agreement is actually to give permission to work on it right away, but what you're approving here is the, excuse me, I should have went to the next slide. What you're approving here is going to be the design features as part of the Face of the City approval, since we are changing the configuration and the look of the road. This did go through the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and they recommended unanimously approval. And as I said, it also went through internal reviews as well. And there's still a permitting process that they'll have to go through to submit for the actual road construction. But with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have.
So who's paying for the actual?
Cox Science Center. The city's not paying anything.
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. Will the road have to be closed down, I guess, I assume, at some point for the reconstruction? And what do you anticipate that timeline looking like?
Yeah, there would have to be some kind of road closure, either partial or full or a combination. I'm going to ask the folks from Kimberly Horn to come up. Are they still here? Oh, there you go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Kurt Allen, the President and CEO of Cox Science Center. Been on the job about 4 months, so please be nice. We do not plan on closing the roads down. We'll try to work around with flagmen and make sure that there's consistent access, because that's kind of the main access back to Cox Science Center, and we remain open the entire time. So we don't foresee any closures. We're moving trees, we're increasing parking, and we're actually increasing green space by this much as well on top of all that. So we're looking forward to working.
Yes.
Trees was going to be on my list. So when you mentioned moving trees, are you moving them on the property? Or, I mean, you're not, the trees will still be, you're moving them and you're not getting rid of them?
Correct, we're just relocating.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. We like our trees. Actually, I think we're increasing the number of trees as well.
Any other questions, comments? Any cards on this item?
Mayor.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 172-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10.4, resolution number 166-26, providing a funding commitment in the amount of $640,000 to support the developer's application for low-income housing tax credits for Phase 2 of the Roseland Gardens public housing development located at 3801 Georgia Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Jade Green, Director of Housing and Community Development. I'm here to present to you resolution number 166, as you stated, the local government contribution for Roseland Gardens Phase 2. Just going to review the purpose, the local government contribution NOFO that the department put out for the selection this year, the funding available, project location, some details, and their experience in past, the development team's past experience. Okay, so the purpose of this resolution is to approve the commitment amount of $640,000 to support the redevelopment of what was known as the Southridge Public Housing Development at 3765 Georgia Avenue. Some of you may know our Roseland Gardens Phase 1. This would be Roseland Gardens Phase 2, the continuation of that project. It's being co-developed by West Palm Beach Housing Authority and Smith and Hensey Affordable Group. They're seeking the low-income housing tax credit from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation project. Florida Housing Finance Corporation releases a request for applications yearly for this tax credit, of which requires a municipal contribution. These applications are due August 12, 2026. The department issued the notice of funding opportunity on June 12th, of which applications were due June 24th. We received 2 proposals for Roseland Gardens Phase 2 and Isaiah Clark Apartments. The criteria for evaluating these proposals included their qualifications and experience, obviously project details, the quality of the project, financial viability, their readiness to proceed, but also the leveraging of other resources and funds that they may have from other municipalities or funding sources. The internal evaluation committee of HCD staff reviewed the proposals and scored each with the goal of recommending one project to move forward with the city's contribution commitment. This project will be supported by a split of funds from the home funding resource from 3 different fiscal years of what we currently have available. This split could change depending on the construction schedule that is finalized, but this is what the department has decided currently based on our funding availability. This project in the green is our current Phase 1 that's under construction. If you guys have been to the site, you could see the movement and how that project's moving along. That first phase is 148 affordable units. It's in two four-story buildings. The second phase will be one 3-story building with 4 one-story buildings for 100 affordable rental units for families, which includes 33 being those home assisted, of which we'll be assisting with. 21 bedroom units, 62 bedroom units, and 23 bedroom units. The AMI levels will be 30 to 80% AMI, and 25 units at each income level. All right, just some renderings of the proposed Roseland Gardens project. Oh, I'd also like to note that both of these phases include a community building. The development team is based in Palm Beach County with extensive experience in affordable housing using multiple funding sources. As I mentioned, their partnership with West Palm Beach Housing Authority. The architect on this project is REG Architects, Schmidt Nicholas as their site landscape planning, and of course using West Palm Beach Housing Authority for their property management. Some previous projects that they have is Island Cove in partnership with Delray Beach Housing Authority, Lofts on Lemon with Sarasota Housing Authority, Green Lawn Manor in partnership with New Smyrna Beach Housing Authority, and as I mentioned, they're already facilitating our project at Roseland Gardens Phase 1 in partnership with West Palm Beach Housing Authority, which already included a 9% low-income housing tax credit commitment previously. So they're looking to fund their Phase 2 again with this application to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. With that, I would like to move forward. The staff recommends approval of resolution number 16626. I would just also like to describe some next steps before recommending that. I didn't get to mention that. But this applicant will move forward with submitting their application to Florida Housing Finance Corporation, of which, if they get selected, an agreement will be coming back to you guys for approval, and along with all the details of construction schedule, et cetera. And now with that, staff recommends approval of resolution 16626. Available for any questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions, Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. To clarify, so if they do not receive this grant, I guess we don't participate going forward, or?
Correct.
So then what happens? We just keep that money and move on to the next project?
Well, it just wouldn't be for that application that they're submitting. We can always explore when that, okay, let me start over. So the department, as I've talked with some of you guys, has a goal of distributing an actual annual notice of funding opportunity for all of our funding resources, which you'll see later in our annual action plan of all the funding sources that we get as a department, including CDBG, home, and SHIP. So if this home funding is not contributed towards this project, it will go back into that pool of funds, of which we will deploy an annual notice of funding opportunity, of which this project could apply to our city NOFO in competition with all other proposals. So this NOFO is just in partnership with the Florida Housing Finance Corporation to get that 9% low income tax credit.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you remind me, do the projects with West Palm Beach Housing Authority, are those the affordability in perpetuity, or is there a limited number of years for those?
No, in perpetuity.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Ward?
I know in just reviewing the housing authority meetings that they talk about where to move, make sure that someone isn't unstable because we're redeveloping an area where there's already housing units. So how does your department oversee that to ensure that in fact the people that are currently living someplace when we're rehabbing for future affordability uses are put in a safe location, a convenient location? Is your department involved in that at all?
Yes, they have to report the relocation to us in partnership with any contract that's in place.
So follow up.
Yes.
In theory, if they didn't do that, then we withhold the funds, or how do
Correct.
we? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? We have any cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 166-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.5, Resolution Number 173-26, approving the agreement and restrictive covenant for affordable housing between the City of West Palm Beach and District Point LLC for the development of a 280-unit residential rental project at 1501 Belvedere Road to be known as District Point.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Kimberly Spence, Assistant Director of Housing and Community Development. So resolution number 173-26, as the Mayor said, is for approval of an agreement between District Point LLC and the City of West Palm Beach for an affordable workforce housing project. For this presentation, I will provide a brief overview of the project location and some history on actions that were taken by the City Commission previously regarding this project. There will be a project overview. We'll discuss the affordability structure as well as some key agreement components, and finally the staff recommendation. As you can see on the image here, the project is located at 1501 Belvedere Road, the northwest intersection of Belvedere Road and Mercer Avenue. The parcel size is about 4.8 acres and is currently zoned general commercial. The current use is office tower and a surface parking lot, and is located in Commission District 3. Previously, December 8, 2025, the City Commission approved Resolution Number 28625, and that granted special site plan approval as long as zoning variances and a bonus density under the city's Affordable and Workforce Housing Overlay Program. The project is a mixed income workforce housing development. It's a 10-story multifamily residential project with a total of 280 units. 209 of those units will be market rate units, and 71 units, or 25% of the total units, will be affordable and workforce housing units. Unit mix will be comprised of studio units up to 3-bedroom units. So there will be 16 studio units, 28 1-bedroom units, 24 2-bedroom units, and 3 3-bedroom units, and the unit size will range from 481 square feet to 1,275 square feet. Project amenities will include a fitness center, swimming pool, co-working lounge room, bicycle storage room, as well as a parking garage structure. As far as the affordability of the units, under the Affordable Workforce Housing Overlay Program, 50% of the bonus density units must be restricted for workforce housing at or below 120% of the area median income. For this project, the developer was required to provide 63 workforce housing units. The developer is providing 8 additional restricted units above that requirement for a total of 71 affordable workforce housing units, and the affordability period will be a minimum of 30 years. As you can see, the affordability tiers range from 18 units at or below 80% AMI, 32 units between 81 and 100% AMI, and 21 units at 101 to 120% AMI. Some of the key requirements in the workforce housing agreement, in addition to the income and the rent restrictions, is that the workforce housing units will be dispersed throughout the development and on each floor of the building. The units will be made available for occupancy either prior to or concurrently with the market rate units. This workforce housing agreement will also serve as a restrictive covenant, which will bind the project for the 30-year affordability period, and the owner will be required to submit monthly construction reports through certificate of occupancy, and the annual occupancy reports to the Housing and Community Development Department. That will enable us to monitor compliance of the project annually, and the agreement also includes a monitoring fee, which now is $2,000 per year, and it's established by the fee schedule that the city adopts each year. So with that concludes my presentation, and staff recommends approval of Resolution 17326, which will approve the agreement and restrictive covenant for District Point, and also authorize the mayor to execute the agreement and any documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of the agreement. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions, commissioners, comments? Do you have any cards? All right, if there's no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 173-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now turn to item 11.1, public hearing of resolution number 134-26, authorizing acceptance of federal entitlement grants in the amount of $5,223,401.94, approving and authorizing submission of the city's annual action plan for fiscal year 2026-2027, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary for receipt and use of the funds.
Yes, Mayor. Again, Kimberly Spence, Assistant Director of HCD for the record. This presentation is actually going to be made by our new Programs Manager, Donna King. Donna joined our department in April of 2026, so this will be her first presentation to the City Commission, but she brings a wealth of knowledge in HUD compliance and has, I don't want to age Donna, but I think similar to me, over 20 years of experience working with HUD grant programs. So.
Well, welcome aboard, and we promise to try to be nice.
Thank you. And Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to present this 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan and presentation to you.
Although you've been introduced, if you could just state your name for the record, please.
My name's Donna King. I'm the Programs Manager for Housing and Community Development.
Okay.
And quick agenda, going over the purpose of the meeting, the overview of the annual action plan, the community outreach and engagement that was conducted in developing the plan, the 2026 and 2027 funding allocations, as well as the CDBG, home, and HOPWA projects that are proposed budgets, timeline and next steps, as well as the staff recommendation, and allow an opportunity for any questions you may have on the plan. The purpose is, of course, to seek approval of the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan, to accept the federal entitlement funds totaling just over $5.2 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, authorizing submission of the plan to HUD, and authorizing the mayor to execute all agreements and related documents. The overview of the Annual Action Plan is it provides the concise summary of all the activities, projects, and special federal and non-federal resources that will be used each year. This is the second year of the 5-year consolidated plan. So consolidated plan was conducted last year in 2025. So each year there will be an annual action plan that just, based on that framework, establishes what projects will move those goals forward. These are for the entitlement programs that come from HUD, including Community Development Block Grant, which is the most flexible funding, can be used for a variety of activities that will serve low and moderate income persons. The Home Investment Partnership Program is limited to housing activities that create and preserve affordable housing, as well as housing opportunities for persons with AIDS. And that program is very specific to housing and rental assistance to that population. The plan describes the activities that will be undertaken to further those goals of the 5-year plan, including CDBG, home, and HOPWA during the period, the fiscal year that begins October 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027. So as part of this plan development, there was citizen participation and engagement that took place, including a virtual and in-person public hearing, public meeting that took place on June 9th. We did have attendance in person as well as virtually at that meeting. And tonight's meeting also counts as a public meeting as well. There were advertisements in the Palm Beach Post in anticipation of that meeting in June, as well as the draft plan being made available for public review for a 30-day public comment period. That advertisement was posted on June 20th. There was also digital outreach, including the website and social media. There was an emailed invitation to stakeholders, letting them know about the public hearing, as well as it was included in the mayor's newsletter, as well as TV announcements. These are the funding allocations from HUD. For CDBG, it's just under $1 million, so $947,465 is available from HUD for fiscal year 2026-2027. Home funds is $487,000 and change, and HOPWA is $3.7 million and change. This brings us to the total of $5.2 million. So these are the proposed projects for the CDBG, including public services. We can spend no more than 15% of our annual allocation for public services, and that's at $142,119. Public facilities and infrastructure is then the difference between that and the planning administration, which is the 20% of the allocation which is allowed by HUD. The home entitlement funds, new construction housing development is just over $365,000. The CHOTO set aside is 15% of the allocation, which is a requirement that HUD has for the program. And then the home program administration is no more than 10% of the allocation. And then for HOPWA funding, the $3.78 million, the majority of it will be spent on tenant-based rental assistance for eligible recipients. Supportive services will be $74,000 and change, and project sponsor administration and grantee administration is those amounts there, $128,000 and $113,000 for that process. So the timeline and next steps. For the action plan, there were opportunities for the public to comment throughout the process, including at that first public hearing, and then that 30-day public comment period, which was from June 20th through July 20th. Tonight is the City Commission. We're requesting the approval of the action plan. And then upon that approval, it will be submitted to HUD no later than August 15th. And then HUD has a 45-day period of time that they will review and approve, and then send it back for executing funding agreements. So tonight we're requesting and recommending approval of the resolution number 134-26 to authorize the acceptance of the CDBG home and HOPWA entitlement funds from HUD, approving the 2026 and 2027 annual action plan, authorizing the submission of the action plan and other planning documents to HUD for their review and approval, and authorizing the mayor to execute certifications, grant agreements, and any other documents necessary for the submission of the action plan and the receipt and use of grant funds. And now, any opportunity for questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions, comments, commissioners? Any cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 134-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5177-26 for a city-initiated request declaring a zoning in progress for a period of 6 months to prevent the submittal of planned development applications for property zoned multifamily high-density MF32 residential located south of Monroe Drive, north of Southern Boulevard, west of Flagler Drive, and east of Washington Road.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Angela Van, Assistant Development Service Director. It's the second reading. There have been no changes.
Very good. Any questions, comments, Commissioners? Commissioner Ward?
Hi, I know I asked this last time. I just want to confirm. So the 6 months, we're going to be discussing community engagement, just like we did with the North Flagler overlay, but you plan on bringing us a proposed overlay within those that 6 month period?
Yes.
Okay. And that doesn't necessarily discourage any potential development proposals to have conversations with staff to look at specific, obviously not submitting for zoning, but having those discussions on what they can and can't do with their properties and going and talking to engineering and all of the other departments?
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not.
Was I not speaking? Was I
I
not
thought you were speaking to the microphone, but anyway, no, you're not going to repeat everything you just said. Okay. All right, Commissioner Fox and then Commissioner Sylvester.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about the process of how the community will be engaged while we're working on this. I know that there might be some people here tonight that weren't here at the last reading, so if you could just talk a little bit about the process, that would be great.
Yes, staff is currently trying to finalize the agreement with Scovich, who is going to do the basic analysis of the area, run some models for us, but staff is actually going to handle the public outreach ourselves. We just put together a schedule, so we're looking to start out possibly in the community after school starts, get people to come back from vacations and all. We haven't finalized a specific date yet, but we're looking to start to get a general feel of the neighborhood surrounding the area sometime mid-August is after school starts.
Commissioner Sylvester?
Thanks for the presentation from before. I do have a question. Can you give us a timeline on when there would be maybe a proposed overlay within that 6-month period? Like, you're not going to drag it out for 6 months, is it?
No, staff is proposing to have to the commission in January the actual proposed overlay regulations in January of 2027.
So in 6 months?
Yes, it's 6 months. Right now we're asking for 6 months, and our goal in the schedule we originally did outlines us completing it within the 6 months, which starts after today.
Did you have a follow-up?
Let me listen to him.
Let me just chime in here real quick. Armando Fanas, Deputy City Administrator. So I just want to kind of clarify, we're not starting completely from scratch here. We have an overlay process that we went through in the north end. There will be some similarities. I think, when you look at public benefit and laying those out and talking with the community about what the public benefits that they'd like to see in that area that are actually something that we can legally include within the overlay. So there is a template we'll be able to utilize from the north end that can apply here as well. So I don't anticipate that this is going to be like a prolonged process. There'll be plenty of opportunities for the public to be able to give us the input, both, and we're trying to move towards meeting people more where they are as opposed to having them come, for example, to City Hall. So there'll be a number of opportunities for the public to weigh in, and also for the overlay to be presented well before it goes to City Commission. We're not going to just bring it and all of a sudden there's an overlay. There'll be those discussions with the community beforehand.
Just one follow-up.
Yes.
So when do you think you would present an overlay to the public for them just to discuss and to look at? How soon?
Well, there'll be some kind of framework, I would say. By the time we begin the discussions with the community, as Angela said, in August, I mean, I don't anticipate it would take more than 30 to 60 days before we'd have at least a framework of an overlay. And then there would be a couple months before it comes to City Commission for a final approval. So it won't be something that'll be spun upon them. They'll be part of the overlay discussion will be with the community.
One last question then. So the commission, it'll go before the commission within the 6 months, not after.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
By January, but prior to that, you'll see it, the community will see it, they'll be part of the discussion.
Any other comments, questions from the dais? Okay, we do have a number of cards. I'm going to call out 4 names and then start making your way toward the dais, toward the podium. Mary Ann Chop, Robert Durkin, Todd Curry, and James Gorman. Mary Ann Chop.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ann Chop. I live at the Flagler Yacht Club, 3701 South Flagler Drive. Hello, Mr. Mayor. Pleasure to meet you, and to the commissioners. I just want to say for the record, I love my neighborhood. I adore it. And it was with great deliberation and great sadness that I signed a contract to sell my condominium to a developer. So I'm on the side of the street that says, more beauty is better than less beauty. The neighborhood could stand a facelift, and it could stand to see some of the development that the North End has enjoyed. I can envision a skyline that's beautiful and down in that golden stretch of land. I really could. And it was great sadness that I signed the contract. But I look to the west of my neighborhood, that 5-block area, and approximately 30 or 35 of the properties are multifamily or commercial. There are 2 sober houses right across the street from mine. And I look and say, well, where's the drive to make that neighborhood more beautiful? Granted, there are wonderful, wonderful old homes. It's eclectic at its best. It's a beautiful, eclectic conglomeration. But I signed a contract, and this moratorium is in the middle of the contract. And it puts a screw in the machine, and it will, I don't know what it'll do to our hopes for selling our properties, which are facing inordinate amounts of assessments. We have to do all sorts of work to the building. My maintenance has gone up from $800 a month to $1,500 a month to put money into reserves to keep this older building on its feet. And it's a great old building. But I had to face facts, and I had to look at the reality of the situation. And yes, it's self-serving. I would get money for this transaction, and I'm very happy about that. I don't know where I'd go. I would miss my neighborhood. I really would. I'd miss walking my dogs in my neighborhood. But it's a compromise that I have to take. I'm just asking for this moratorium. Is it necessary? And would it put a screw in the machine of all the negotiations that have taken place? And could it thwart the beautification of that 5-block stretch of land? It's a wonderful place to live, and I just want you to consider the overall community and the beauty of the community. And I've seen what's happened has only enhanced the communities up to the north. So I'd like you to take that in mind and weigh and measure that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Robert Durkin.
Thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you could hear me. I just hear basically
State your name and address for the record, please, sir.
I'm sorry?
State your name and address for the record.
Robert Durkin, 3701 South Flagler Drive. Basically, I'm here, I'm on the board of my building, and to talk about the affordability and why no one else has had a moratorium, and now all of a sudden they're coming in our area to do it when there's some buildings that are about to be taken over by developers. And I'm talking as fact as the board, a lot of people in our buildings can't afford this. In other words, the assessments that are coming due are huge. They're bigger than when some people paid for their buildings, for their apartment total. And when we put an assessment out recently, one of the assessments we had regarding the Florida Sears report came at $800,000. And when we did that, 50% of the people couldn't pay it on time. It took them 4 months. They tried to get payment plans for it. When we actually went out to get the bids to do it, it wasn't $800,000. It's $2.2 million, which means we have to go then and assess them the extra for that, which some haven't paid yet, which has been over 5 months. A lot of the people can't even afford it and will get foreclosed by the building if they can't pay it. This is sort of their way out in a way. They're either going to get foreclosed on, not get any money, or they're going to be able to live their life and get out of here because they never realized the assessments would be this big coming forward. I don't think there needs to be a 6-month moratorium. I've heard there's some developers who are even behind this, and maybe they don't want the competition. I don't know, but I think that's kind of a reverse for a developer to be like that. I don't know if that's the case, but it's what I've heard. You know, where we live is a lot less than buildings to our north because of the FAA. We can't go 300 feet. We can't just add as many units as we want. We're 32 per acre. I think it's like around 200 feet tall you're allowed to build. And these buildings aren't, you know, even with these assessments, it's kind of like Band-Aids. I mean, I'm on the board, I know, and you're fixing them up. You're not making them like they're brand new. And these buildings are 50-some years old, and at some point, they're going to have to be replaced. And if you look at La Clara and other buildings up north, they look a lot better than the ones that were there before them, and they're a lot more sound as well. I just don't think a moratorium is needed. I don't see that it's been done anywhere else, so I can't see the reason for it. And I think it's a problem for a lot of people that live down there. I'm hearing it is from a lot of people. So I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Todd Curry.
Hello. Todd Curry, 3701 South Flagler. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I've grown up on Washington Road. I grew up there. My family still owns a house there, and I'm currently a board member at Flagler Yacht Club as well. I urge you to vote against the proposed moratorium. Everyone in this room shares the same goal. We all want to have thoughtful growth, safe neighborhoods, and responsible redevelopment. The question is not whether redevelopment should occur, it is whether imposing a moratorium is the right solution. I respectfully submit that it is not. A moratorium creates uncertainty at a time when certainty is desperately needed. Investors, lenders, developers, and property owners make long-term decisions based on these. The uncertainty discourages investments and then raises financial costs to those owners alike. Perhaps more importantly, the proposed will have unintended consequences with owners of aging condo buildings. Across Florida, condominium owners are facing unprecedented financial pressures with these ongoing assessments. For many communities, redevelop is not only speculation, it is the realistic financial exit. Moratorium removes that option for us, and it leaves owners trapped in aging buildings that require expensive repairs and simultaneously discouraging very reputable developers who might otherwise purchase these properties. The irony is not that its proposal may preserve the buildings, but actually increasingly difficult to maintain, rather than encouraging responsible and reinvestment in the community that is needed. Additionally, this area is already governed by strict zoning regulations. Existing zoning controls building heights, setbacks, massing, importing of density. The increase in the number of units beyond that already exists, so they cannot come to you and increase the number of units without seeing the council ahead of time. And those standards are working. We have them guided development for years, and what problems does the moratorium actually solve? And the specific concerns, addressing those concerns directly throughout thoughtful amendments in the city's land development regulations, update design standards, refine and review procedures, and improve compatibility requirements and the targets the solutions. A blanket moratorium, however, penalizes every property owner that ever responsible and even responsible developers. West Palm Beach has earned a reputation as a city that welcomes responsible investment while maintaining high standards. That reputation did not come by accident. It is built on transparency, consistency, and confidence in the development process. Please do not replace the confidence with uncertainty. Finally, I ask that you remember that behind every condominium building are real people. They're retirees, working families, longtime residents, and people have invested their savings into their homes. Many are now struggling under the weight of mandatory repairs, special assessments, and they deserve options,
Thank you.
not
Thank you
fears.
very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
James Gorman.
I'm James Gorman, 3701 South Flagler. You've heard a lot tonight from just a few of the people here that are very upset about this moratorium. Given the fact that we have buildings that are functionally obsolete, we're spending a lot of money trying to repair these buildings and keep them going. Change is tough. Anybody can agree with me on this. I think everybody can agree with me. Any kind of change. Look at what we went through when they replaced the bridge at Southern. That was a terrible inconvenience for a lot of people for a long time, but look at it now. It's a beautiful bridge. It's a benefit to the community. There's going to be change here. These buildings are going to come down. They're going to be replaced. And they should be. That's progress. Look at the rest of what's happened here in our community. Yes, planning is a good thing. We should plan ahead for everything. You've already got restrictions on what you can build there with the 32 units per acre. In this case, it's 2 acres. You can build 64 units there. It's going to be a better looking building than what's there now. It's going to generate millions of dollars worth of tax revenues for the community that they can use for the school districts and everything. I just think stopping the progress right now, why this one little section that you've just out of the blue, all of a sudden, we're going to stop all the development there. We're going to go, you're asking for 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, I think we know what's going to happen. You're going to ask for another 6 months. You know, you're going to put restrictions on what we can build there. We'll never be able to sell our units there and get our money out of the property. I think it hasn't been done anywhere else. You've got a building going up right now next to us, immediately adjacent to us. The Maison Dior was already approved. It's going to be under construction at any time, going up right next to it. So now you're going to have these old buildings that need to be completely redone some fashion next to this beautiful new Maison Dior that Coulter Properties is building right there. It's going up. You approved it. So I think, you know, doing this, downzoning these properties here is not the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna read 4 more names out. Please start making your way toward the podium. Amy Triggs, Leslie Weinberg, Robert Gerard, and Elizabeth Gorey. Amy Triggs.
Hi, Amy Triggs, 208 Monroe Drive. I don't think I need to go through all the reasons why I believe the overlay is needed, because I think you all are pretty well aware of how I feel. And I also recently went back and watched the commission meetings from last year when you approved what is now Maison Dior. During those discussions, you all agreed that this corridor needed further study and that a zoning in progress and Flagler overlay were warranted. It was also interesting to listen to my own comments from that meeting. I said that an overlay was necessary because some lawyer would be back in a year with another development proposal. Sure enough, I got a call last week from an attorney with that prediction coming true. So to me, that simply reinforces why this zoning in progress is so important. The zoning in progress won't prevent a sale from going through. It just gives us a chance to pause and come up with a thoughtful plan. Again, all of us agree that these buildings are old. They probably do need to be replaced, but I just want to reinforce we're not against growth, but it just needs to be done without rushing the process. So I just want to thank each of you for listening to the residents and for taking this step. I especially want to thank Commissioner Ward for your guidance, thoughtful suggestions, and expertise, and Commissioner Sylvester for pushing this and keeping me in the loop over the last several months. I'd also like to thank City Administrator Armando Fana for helping move this initiative forward. I know our city is short-staffed and is balancing an incredible workload, so I also want to recognize Development Services Director Anna Marie Aponte and Assistant Director Angela Jones-Vaughn for their hard work in bringing this to fruition, despite being very busy with so many other projects. So I look forward to working with you all, the city staff, and my neighbors to create a good plan for this Flagler corridor, one that provides a clear and predictable framework for future developers, and especially one that respects the character and compatibility of the surrounding historic neighborhoods. Thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you. Leslie Weinberg.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Weinberg. I live at 3701 South Flagler, and I've been at the Flagler Yacht Club probably longer than anyone else in my building. I think I was the first person that bought and started my career here in West Palm Beach 40 years ago. So I love it there. I love the neighborhood, and I love the building. It's very sad, but the building is falling apart, and I'd be the first one to admit that. I've had, all sorts of problems. Roof leaks, we have to redo the docks, and the assessments are going up every year along with the insurance to make it really unaffordable for me. I've had, some economic turmoil this year because of this and trouble paying the assessment, and I only found out it's going to probably double or triple next year with the repairs that need to be done. So I'm really ready to say goodbye, as sad as it is. The building needs to be replaced, and our building has been working for over a year. We've been fielding lots of different bulk offers, and we finally came to a decision. We've been moving forward with that, and this would completely block that and stop it and force us all to, endure another year there of repairs, and it's just too much. And I really hope that, I can appeal to some of you for our predicament as well. And I understand that the neighborhood doesn't want all the building there, but progress happens. You can't stop it, and this will move forward whether we all, benefit or suffer more another year or longer. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Gerard.
Hi, I'm Robert Gerard. I'm also 3701 South Flagler. I'm from West Palm Beach, so I've seen a lot of the growth in the community. The state of Florida sets the schedule for when all of this SERS-related improvement work has to happen. So, a pause creates a situation where you're spending millions of dollars to repair things that are going to potentially be torn down a short time after. That is why a pause doesn't make sense. And ultimately, I believe it should come down to density. And there's not really an appreciable change in the density in the corridor we're talking about. In particular, when you compare it to the north part of the Flagler Drive corridor or the center part of the Flagler Drive corridor. And, just in this commission meeting, we approved a 280-unit apartment right next to the airport, which is completely changing the density of that area. And, the area we're talking about, there's virtually no density change. So it doesn't make sense to me, the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gorey.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Good evening. Washington Road became my forever home.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Oh, I
please.
beg your pardon.
That's okay.
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Gorey. I live at 3800 Washington Road, perhaps better known as Portofino. I serve on the board there, but I'm addressing you as a private citizen and homeowner. Washington Road became my forever home when I discovered that forever is a reality, not a dream. We purchased a unit at Portofino at the top of the market in 2006, chiefly for its location, but as much for the family nest we were building to share while we were all on this side of the grass. In the years since, I've seen the ebb and flow of the real estate market, and like many, still in search of single-floor living, I regret not scooping a small ranch in Soso when they could be had for under $1 million. But the 8.5% mortgage was still a heavy lift. In the time since, there has been a calm but steady rise in the appreciation of condo values in the location now targeted for pause. So now, totaling our losses, personal and financial, we are trying to exit safely to assisted, if not affordable, alternatives. This proposed pause may herald the end of the road for us and many similarly situated in the older buildings, traumatized by the costs of state-mandated retrofit and upgrade using the same tools we had 20 years ago. That would be a hammer and a wallet. So proceed with caution, you say, but a new 18-story tower already has permission to rise smack dab in the middle of the deliberate district. You aren't considering downsizing for no good reason, in my view, then that you missed the boat in thoughtful planning in zones north of us. I fail to understand how this can be viewed as anything other than discriminatory, if not dishonest. We've been city dwellers our entire adult lives, so density has proven to be a positive in our world, provided planners apply equal, environmentally sustainable, and eternally aesthetically pleasing structures with setbacks sufficient to share the light at the beginning and end of all our days. Mistakes, even if you call them oversights, made in our little city are not of our making.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read off the last three cards. Joette Stambaugh Keene, Carolyn Stambaugh, and Christina Lambert. Joette Stambaugh Keene. Joette Stambaugh? Okay, all right. however you want to do it.
Well, being my mother too.
Probably more important.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening and hello again, Mayor James and commissioners. I just wanted to say thank you again for the last time we discussed this matter, for your understanding and for your thoughtfulness in listening to all of us who are so very concerned about the progress and the development that has happened very quickly. As I was sitting here listening to the different comments, I can't help but think, maybe because I'm going home to my children right now, of the story of the tortoise and the hare. And we know who won the race. It was the tortoise, it wasn't the hare. And again, it's not that we are anti-development, anti-improvement, anti-beautifying, but just 6 months is such a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things to do thoughtful planning for this area. And just wanted to say thank you, because even on the heels of the last time that we were here speaking before you, we already have had discussions with 2 former city commissioners, as well as Armando, and community people coming together to start dialoguing about what might be appropriate for this area. And it's actually very encouraging to see people from different perspectives just come together, dialogue with open minds. And so I would just say, if it's just respectfully that we would request that you go ahead and as you had previously approved preliminarily this proposal, that we go ahead and just give it 6 months and then go from there. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're Carolyn, right? Okay, so
It's hard to hear.
now Joette.
I'm Joette, she's Carolyn.
Okay, all right, so we heard from Joette. Now Carolyn, okay, all right.
Good evening, Mayor James and commissioners. And Mayor, thank you for letting me speak last spring regarding Woodlawn Cemetery. I appreciate that. Well,
Could you state your name for the record, please?
I qualify as...
State your name.
What?
Here, they need your name.
Oh, my name.
Yes, ma'am.
It's Carolyn Stambaugh. And I do believe I qualify as an older person. I'm 93. And I'm grateful that you have been willing to put a hold on developing because of citizens like me that love this city. It will be a hardship for me if you don't pause on development, because I have planned to remain in my building until I go from this life to the next. And I don't want to be forced out. And I have a number of older friends who were not able to be here tonight to speak, who feel exactly the same way. And so I want to thank you very much for your patience. I know it takes patience to do the job you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Christina Lambert.
Good evening, Christina Lambert, West Palm Beach resident, here again in support of ordinance number 5177-26, the 6-month pause on the new plan development applications along South Flagler. At first reading, this commission heard why this matters most. When new applications keep moving forward under old rules while new regulations are being written, the community loses ground that it can't get back. Tonight's vote closes that gap for South Flagler. And in the 2 weeks since that reading, the community has already shown that it's ready. I had the chance to speak with North End residents who lived through the North Flagler overlay process and shared what worked and what they would do differently. What they said every time is how critical a pause like this is. The community needs time to shape its vision before applications come in. The South End is taking that lesson to heart. Last week, more than 20 neighborhood leaders came together to coordinate. So when the city's planning work begins, residents are informed, prepared, and ready to contribute within the 6-month pause. The reasons why this overlay process matters is that it protects the character of our neighborhoods. It delivers good planning, predictability, and clear design expectations. It ties developer incentives to real community benefits. It gives residents a transparent and meaningful voice. And it helps us to get ahead of traffic, parking, and infrastructure needs. Every project with real community input, and every project delivering real community benefits. I commend the mayor, the commission, and staff for listening to the residents who want proper planning and for working with them to show that government and the community can work side by side to shape the future of West Palm Beach together on this and other issues. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last card. So any comments, questions from the dais? President Peduzzi.
Thank you. I certainly, the first time I saw this, I was fully in support, but it concerns me a little bit that when you hear from the other side and their concerns, and I was just wondering if we can hear from someone from staff that may have more understanding of this than I have, that are these concerns that we've heard today, is there, are they legitimate concerns that, these buildings that are going to be required to have improvements made and significant funding that will require, are we encumbering their property to a point where it's going to cause significant hardship to them? If I could just understand that a little better, I'd appreciate it.
Again, Angela Van, Assistant Development Service Director. I just first want to clarify, it's not a moratorium. It's not what we're proposing. We're proposing a zoning in progress that you can apply for a planned development. As you know, most of the towers we get come in as a planned development. If you can come in as a developer and you can build by right, you can build your tower. If you can come in today and meet the code requirements and build by right, this is zoning in progress. It's not stopping you from doing that. It's just stopping you from coming in and applying for a planned development at this point for the next 6 months. And based on what you said, Commissioner, there are some requirements from the state. I'm not quite sure exactly what that they have to do based on building code requirements and reports that they have to do to ensure that their buildings are safe. And there are some deadlines, and then they have to do monetary as far as having assessments or having a fund to do those improvements. So there are requirements in the state statute, and it does apply to a lot of your older condominiums that are along Flagler Drive.
Follow up?
Yes.
What about this time period, the 6-month moratorium? I mean, in and of itself, 6 months, I don't necessarily think is unreasonable. I'm worried that will require an extension or a significant extension. Do we think that we can do this process, that we can complete this process within that 6-month period of time? Can it be done sooner than that? Do we need the 6 months?
Well, staff does, basically, as Administrator Fonda said, that a lot of the groundwork that we did for North Flagler, you're only talking about relatively 6-7 properties, so it's not a large area. So staff feels with the initial work that the consultant will do, that they're doing the background, giving us the analysis that staff should be able to write regulations for those 6-7 properties within the 6-month period. That's our goal, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, and I understand the concern, President Peduzzi, and I wish that we had been able to do this, and I understand staff has been busy with everything, and so, in hindsight, yes, it would have been fantastic if we had been able to move forward more quickly on it, but I don't think it then doesn't justify the need for it regardless. And I think the emails that I received was, and that was a line item, was, you didn't do it in the North Flagler, so why are you doing it here? And we did ask for it. I asked for it, the residents asked for it. I think I asked for it before I was a commissioner. When I was a commissioner, we did ask for it, and it didn't happen. This wasn't during Anna Maria's time. This was prior Development Services Director. And I wish we had gotten it. I know there was developers who were really worried about it. The first one that came in after we decided to discuss, because three submitted proposals at that time, did discuss with us, and it was a long journey. And the attorneys actually in this room, it was about a 2-year process of meetings, community engagement, back and forth conversation, staff time, resident time, my time, and then we had 2 others after that. And so I think those were lessons and valid lessons learned that we needed predictability when it came to what the residents are going to be seeing moving forward for decades. I totally understand the other side of it. I understand the requirements from a state level. I hope that the developers are the proposed development and the people that are attempting to buy your units continue to communicate with us. Because here's the thing, there's a predictability level of height. And so if they're gonna say now that, 6 months we're out, then they might have not been very serious with their development to begin with. Because 6 months is a very short time when you're trying to build a multi-million-dollar project. And I know that just me talking is probably not going to change your mind, that's fine. But that is exactly what I'm going to say to those developers, is you can still have conversations, you should participate in community engagement to let the residents know this is what we plan on proposing, this is what we want to do. It takes a very long time to go through staff review and all of the different departments to get to the point where it's presented for us, our consideration, with the variances that all of them request. And so that can be built into that 6-month time period. So I urge you, if you're hearing that from them, let us know. I will have those conversations with those developers. 6 months is not a long time. So again, I wish it had been done when we asked to the beginning, but there are valid reasons of why I support this, given what we had to deal with in the North End.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the residents that came tonight. I think it's especially important because we have a group over here that Save West Palm, and then we have the group that came up to talk about how important it is to you to sell this building for all the personal reasons and financial reasons. And I think that sometimes it's lost that there really are 2 sides to these, all of these development conversations that we're having, and we don't always hear the other side. I think when we were voting for the Maison d'Or, I remember specifically one of the reasons I supported it was because there were so many people that were in that building that were having a lot of financial difficulties figuring out how to pay the assessments. And this was, they had gone through 3 different developers, I think, at that time, and I took that to heart. But I think we also heard from quite a few neighbors at that time who were surprised by the height and the development. They wanted to have more, just more understanding of what the future looked like for their neighborhood. And so I also wish that we could have done this earlier, just for everyone that was here today and all of your concerns. I hope that you can continue the conversations with selling if you want to sell. And but I also support this, and I think it's important that we get it right, because this is going to be the future of that part of town. So I do support this tonight.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 5177-26.
We're moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5177-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, declaring a zoning in progress for a period of 6 months to prevent the submittal of planned development applications for the properties located at 3701 South Flagler Drive, 3611 South Flagler Drive, 3800 Washington Road, 3901 South Flagler Drive, 3906 Washington Road, 3907 South Flagler Drive, and 3915 South Flagler Drive, making legislative findings of fact, providing a severability clause, providing a conflicts clause, providing for automatic repeal, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11.3, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5174-26, approving a voluntary annexation of approximately 8.54 acres of land located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, and public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5175-26, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of West Palm Beach by assigning a future land use designation of multifamily to approximately 8.54 acres of land annexed into the city, located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, and public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5176-26, amending the zoning map of the city of West Palm Beach by assigning a zoning designation of multifamily 32 to approximately 8.54 acres of land annexed into the city, located at 5710 North Haverhill Road. Alex.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Alex Hansen, City's Comprehensive Planner. This is the second reading of this item, and there are no changes from the first reading.
Very good, thank you. Commissioners, any questions, comments on this item? Do we have any cards on this one?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, if there's no questions, then I will entertain a motions.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5174-26. This motion is based upon the finding that the petition meets the annexation requirements found in Chapter 171, Florida statutes.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5174-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, approving a voluntary annexation of approximately 8.54 acres of land located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, declaring that all legal prerequisites and requirements have been met, finding consistency with the comprehensive plan, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. President Peduzzi.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5175-26. This motion is based upon the finding that the petition meets at least one of the 5 future land use FLU amendment standards found in future land use element policy 1.1.5 of the city's comprehensive plan.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5175-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, by assigning a future land use designation of multifamily to approximately 8.54 acres of land annexed into the city, located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, declaring the proposed amendment to the future land use map to be consistent with all other elements of the comprehensive plan of the city, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. President Peduzzi.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5176-26. This motion is based upon the finding that the petition meets all 8 rezoning standards found in section 94-32 of the zoning and land development regulations.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5176-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach by assigning a zoning designation of multifamily 32 to approximately 8.54 acres of land annexed into the city, located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, declaring this zoning map amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, revising the zoning map of the city accordingly, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11.4, public hearing and adoption of resolution number 136-26, a request by Urban Design Studio on behalf of the property owner, Palm Lake Baptist Association, Inc., and the applicant, the Coulter Group, LLC, for a special site plan review, including one waiver from the zoning and land development regulations in accordance with sections 94-56, 94-552, and 94-553 for the proposed multifamily residential development located at 5710 North Haverhill Road, comprised of 318 multifamily residential units, of which 44 units will be affordable, serving households between 80 and 120% of the area median income.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Lindsay Jean-Louis with Urban Design Studio. We do have our presentation prepared, but again, this went over at the July 6th first reading. We would like to take the opportunity today to really focus in on the parking waiver and the additional information as requested. So I'd just like to again go over an overview of the waiver requested based on our 318 units that we're providing. We're proposing 478 parking spaces. That's a reduction of 139 spaces or 23%. But we have prepared a parking study based on the Institute of Transportation Engineers that depicts that we have a 42 space surplus in addition to some additional field research that we've conducted. So at the time, I'd like to introduce Stephanie Guerra with Kimley Horn, who's our traffic and parking engineer, to speak more to the details and the data that was collected. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Stephanie Guerra with Kimley Horn. To dig into the data, I know we talked about it a little bit at the commission meeting a couple weeks ago. To dig into what we did for the ITE analysis, we utilized data from the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is a nationally accepted survey of existing multifamily sites throughout a variety of contexts. They separate out the sites that they survey and collect parking counts at into urban and suburban areas, and then they further break that up into sites that are located near transit facilities and located in more suburban contexts away from transit facilities in order to further hone in on what the real parking demand is at those sites. So the data for this specific use, which is multifamily mid-rise, surveyed 44 sites of similar context throughout the United States. From that data, we determined that a subtotal of 396 spaces was appropriate, and that was including a 32 space accounting based on the city's guest parking requirement. So we added that in separately above and beyond what the ITE data showed. From there, we applied a 10% buffer to allow for circulation and came up with the 436 space minimum recommended requirement for the site. The proposal here is for 478 parking spaces, which is 42 spaces above and beyond that minimum recommendation. However, based on the data that the feedback that we received at the previous meeting, we wanted to go out and validate that with local data. So we went out to 3 sites. 2 of them are located within Palm Beach County. They're technically unincorporated, but they have City of West Palm Beach addresses, and they are within a reasonable driving distance of this site. And then the third is Viridian Shores, which is located on Australian Avenue. It is within the city. It's roughly across the street from Roosevelt Middle School. And the 3 sites were chosen because they were in similar suburban contexts where it encourages the residents to be car dependent. And we wanted to understand, based on these sites, all of which received at least a 20% parking reduction from what their code required minimums were. What is the actual demand now that these sites are operational, have been in use for a number of years, and are operating all above 90% occupancy of the units themselves? So we went out with our drone operators and took aerial photography at each of the sites in order to determine what the peak parking demand was for those sites. So we went out before dawn to determine what that overnight parking requirement was on a typical Monday and typical Tuesday. We would have collected them on the same day, but in order to make it to all 3 sites in a reasonable amount of time, we didn't want to wait until more residents had gone to work for the day. So based on that, all 3 of the sites currently have unit occupancies above 94%. So these aren't half vacant communities. And based on that, we determined what the observed demand was per occupied unit. And the highest demand that we observed at the 3 sites, at Pine Ridge and at the Palm Beach Preserve, was 1.27 spaces per unit. So we found that that further validated the national data that we were using and seeing it play out on a local level. And for context, I'm going back just to show the aerials again. Palm Beach Preserve is located on the corner of Cleary Road and Belvedere Road, just east of Florida's Turnpike. It's not walkable to any of your daily errands. In the case of Pine Ridge, you're located on the corner of, I believe it's Wallace Road and Southern Boulevard. It's a little east of Jog Road. It's a similar context where you're between county thoroughfare roads, and it is encouraging residents to be car dependent. The third, being Viridian Shores, being located within the city, is on Australian Avenue, a similar context in terms of all sites being surrounded by a mix of industrial and single-family homes, so a very similar suburban context. And we looked at it a little bit more just to understand. The 2 sites in Palm Beach County and unincorporated do not have their unit breakdown. However, Viridian Shores does. And it was interesting to note that in the case of Viridian Shores, they're actually operating at 30% of their units being 1-bedrooms and studios, where we're operating at 56% of our units being 1-bedrooms and studios, which we think further supports why we would have a lower parking demand having more of our units be those 1-bedroom and studio units. You're typically going to have fewer residents, fewer occupants in those spaces. So to summarize what we have done so far, we have looked at the ITE national data, which we found supported our recommended parking supply of 436 spaces. Again, provides a buffer to allow for some margin of error there, and then went out to collect the local data. And we found that that local data supported an even lower parking demand, and we feel confident that in this case, the rate that we're proposing of 1.5 spaces per unit is appropriate. However, we have gone back and forth and had discussions with staff to determine an appropriate package of transportation demand management measures that we believe would help to further reduce dependence on vehicles and having lower vehicle ownership throughout the site. So that site-appropriate TDM package includes a number of measures. We are proposing a new bus shelter. There is a bus stop on Haverhill Road immediately in front of the site. But in addition to that, we're also looking at bicycle repair stations, indoor bicycle storage, better mixed-use paths in front of the site. And most importantly, one of the things that staff was adamant about was the unbundling of parking from the leases. So in a lot of cases, you'll see certain communities where you have a certain number of reserved spaces per unit. And what that effectively leads to is an inefficient use of parking. So if you have some residents who, say you're a nurse and you work nights, or somebody who's an office worker and works during the day, they can't use one another's spaces in those communities. It leads to things being less efficient and can often lead to more of a parking struggle than an unbundled parking scenario. And ultimately, we feel that these measures together support our parking recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. That concludes our presentation. Again, we have our developer team and the applicant here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff before we turn to the applicant? Commissioner Sylvester?
Just one, thank you for that. That clarified a lot. But just one question. When did you do the overnight study? What time was that?
A little bit before 5 in the morning.
A little before 5 in the morning. I just think of, because I've done it, you know, I was an overnighter in a hospital. There are a lot of workforce that works nighttime. And I don't think that's very reliable to just say, we don't need those, they don't need those spots. Because you really don't know how many are going to be working overnight, how many get up early to go to work. But everything else I respect what you said.
And we certainly think that they need those spaces. The reason for the unbundling is just to make sure that it's more efficiently used throughout the day. And effectively, we do understand. We're looking at robust package of transportation demand management measures there to support this. And I did want to note also, sorry, that the residents, this community will be gated, so staff on site will have an understanding of how many residents are living there at a given time in order to understand what the maximum number of resident vehicles could be in order to better manage parking demand.
Commissioner Warren and then Commissioner Ward.
Thank you so much for all of the due diligence that you've put into the conversation that we've had. I appreciate the conversations and the meetings that we've had, and I'd like to know, I did recommend that you compare the project to one within the city that has a similar number of units, and I'm wondering if you had an opportunity to do that and how that compares to spaces available.
So in the case of that particular development off of Village Boulevard, we did note that the major difference there is that they do have reserved spaces on a case-by-case basis. So that is one of those locations where I would expect that there would be certain spaces that are going unoccupied, but they're unusable for other residents. We weren't able to come up with the site plan for that use, so I don't have the exact parking rate that they used, and I apologize for that. But the biggest difference that we saw was the bundled versus reserved the unbundled versus reserved parking.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from staff. Sure. If staff may be aware of the condominium association and any information about the parking that's there.
I believe you're speaking about the Sterling development, correct? Which was approved as Glenmore in 1988. We looked at our records, and I only became aware of the request this morning, but we looked at the records and we could not find specific information about the number of parking spaces that were approved at the time. As you indicated, the number of units in that development is almost identical to the one that we are discussing today, 318 units versus 319. But as Stephanie pointed out, we did find in the approval documents that every unit in that, or every parking space in that development when it was approved in 1988, was assigned to specific units, which is, again, is the total opposite of what we are recommending for this one. So all of the parking spaces were basically bundled or linked with units for that specific development. In this one, city staff indicated, or our recommendation, and which made it into the approval, is that none of the spaces will be associated with any unit. And as Stephanie indicated, we believe that that makes a significant difference as far as the efficiency of parking spaces. We have seen that in other developments, that unfortunately the parking was bundled with either units or with commercial spaces, and sometimes half of the spaces are actually empty, but the people who actually need the parking cannot use it because those spaces are already assigned to either other units or to other commercial areas. So we have dealt with the issue of bundled parking, and that's why we strongly recommend it, and again, it made it into the requirements for this one, that the parking should be unbundled for this development. But unfortunately, going back to the original questions, we could not find, this is again an approval from 1988. We found a lot of documents, we just could not find the specific number of parking spaces that were approved.
Did you have a follow-up, Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Ward?
It was just a comment. Thank you. That was very detailed, and I appreciate it. I know that parking seems daunting and a little bit boring, but it's super helpful just given all the conversations that we're having about parking. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I guess my final question about parking I asked in the last meeting, but just to confirm, you or the applicant said that they won't be expected to rent any units more than they have parking, so that they will be giving basically a parking sticker, and if they run out of them, they will not rent the units. So in other words, maybe we're worrying too much about the parking if they're not going to rent units to anyone if the parking is not available. Is that correct?
That is what the applicant has indicated, correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? All right, we do have one card. Jason Moore.
Hi, Jason Moore, 1050 Blount Street. I'm in favor of this project and wish other projects here in West Palm Beach had these TDMs and parking waiver as well. The key to reducing car traffic is providing viable options to driving, and at least this developer is trying to do so. Some recommendations: if there's a way to have indoor bike storage in all 3 of the buildings instead of 1, that would be good to have. If there was a way to offer every resident here the Palm Trend Pass instead of just workforce residents, that would encourage more people to use it. And I leave you with this question: would you rather have an affordable housing problem or a potential parking problem? With the TDMs offered, the parking waiver should be allowed, and this resolution be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 136-26 with conditions.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. It's now time for a comment from the public. Do you have any cards? Okay. We have a few cards. Tyrone Smith, Jason Moore, and Michael Cleveland. Tyrone Smith, or Gon Smith. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong. State your name for the record, please.
Tayshawn Smith. I'm a former resident in Boynton Beach, and I have a visual impairment, and I'm legally blind in the state of Florida, and I'm also a former student at Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine. And I'm here today to address the issue that have come to my attention, that there's not a reliable way of public transportation for people with visual impairments and also individuals who are fully blind. For example, I actually work in Deerfield Beach at the Publix warehouse in Deerfield, and I pay $30 a day just to get to work, which is a tank of gas for a majority of people here. And I'm here to propose a rideshare program. I'm so sorry. I'm here to propose a rideshare program through Uber or Lyft because Palm Trend Connections is kind of obsolete and outdated. And the last time it was updated was in 2000 and in 2000 through the ADA. And it hasn't been upgraded since, man, that's like 26 years ago. So for an individual like me that is high functioning and does not rely on SSI, the times of operation really doesn't have any benefit for me. I'm paying over $600 a month in just transportation and sometimes more than that just to stay independent and operate in South Florida as the infrastructure has grown so much. And I actually heard a young lady speaking about how most places have to be car independent. As an individual who can't operate a motor vehicle, that most places are not even beneficial for me to even live here anymore. And I may have to move to Jacksonville just because it's more of a city, and I don't want to have to do that because I want to reside here because my parents are getting older and I may have to take care of them. And also my rideshare proposal is that we use Uber or Lyft as a way to subsidize or make transportation cheaper for people with a disability who are contributing to society. You know, I've worked at that Publix warehouse since I was 19 years old, and I'm gonna be 25 this year. And you know, it's either A, I move closer to where I stay, or B, I have to move somewhere else where I can, you know, continue to remain independent while, you know, having a reliable form of transportation. And the gentleman over here that spoke about, you know, I'm taking the bus. You know, I'm walking to work. You know, I'm doing all the things that a young man that cannot operate a motor vehicle needs to do to get around, but I cannot afford to continue to pay $30 a day just to get to work. And then sometimes I would pay $30 just to get home because I was going to Palm Beach State to do sports science to become a physical therapist, but I couldn't afford to get off of work, catch the train, walk to the train, get on the train, get off the train, find the nearest bus stop, then I couldn't do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Jason Moore.
Hi, Jason Moore, 1050 Blount Street. I want to speak on the recent and terrible hit and run on South Olive Avenue. I call on the city to implement traffic calming measures to slow down cars, from roundabouts, speed humps, chicanes, raised crosswalks on city streets are just a few examples. Even though this is reactionary, taking action now can help prevent the next crash and tragedy. I love this quote from Walkable City by Jeff Speck. If you want to make a change in the world, change your streets. With that said, I believe now is the perfect time to consider a pilot project to pedestrianize Clematis Street this fall and winter. Combined with the green market, most of it can be closed to cars on the weekends and then try for holiday weeks like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas to New Year's. Clematis Street is one of the best streets here in West Palm for open streets. Working with businesses and partners on Clematis, this can be a successful way to have an open street for people. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Cleveland, he's still here? I don't see. Okay, thank you. We'll now turn to comments from the dais, beginning with you, President Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. I think most of my colleagues here on the dais know that about a week and a half ago, I took my daughter roller skating with a group, and she fell and broke her ankle. Oh, wow. And we ended up taking her to a pediatric urgent care center outside of the city, which was our first mistake. They weren't equipped to handle it. And not knowing exactly where to go, I called our colleague, Commissioner Sylvester, also a doctor of physical therapy, and he was just right on it, telling me exactly where I needed to take her right here in the city of West Palm Beach. Got me on the phone with the pediatric orthopedic surgeon, Claire Shannon, at the Paley Institute. And I want to take this opportunity to highlight the work that the Paley Institute does here in the city of West Palm Beach that serves the residents of the city of West Palm Beach, but not only the residents of West Palm, the residents of Palm Beach County, the residents of Florida, the residents of the United States, and the residents of other countries. I had no idea that they are the premier pediatric orthopedic surgery practice that sees patients from all over the world right here in the city of West Palm Beach. They specialize in leg lengthening procedures for deformities. It's unbelievable the work they are doing. And while I was sitting there in the waiting room, I heard all the different places that people are from. And it was just amazing to see that right here in our city, we have such tremendous orthopedic care that's available to our residents. And if a child is taken by ambulance to our trauma center, St. Mary's, we have some of the best pediatric orthopedic surgeons anywhere. And so I just wanted to give a shout out. Thank you to Commissioner Sylvester, and thank you to the Paley Institute for all the good work that you do, and particularly to Dr. Claire Shannon. That's all I have.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Ward.
Oh, you're switching up the script. Okay. Just keeping us on our toes. All right, well, first I wanted to say that I was able to, the other weekend, go celebrate a Coleman Park residence, or I guess she's now she's in the historic Northwest, but Alberta Bailey's 110th birthday, which I tried to find data in Palm Beach County whether she's one of the oldest, and I think if she's not the oldest, she's definitely one of them as far as ChatGPT was doing the digging for me. And so I just wanted to shout out that again because it was really cool. Her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, everyone surrounding her for her birthday, she is, with it and active, and I just, I hope if I last that long that I'm in her shape. And then I wanted to also thank Linnea Highsmith, or Lynn Highsmith, that works at Coleman Park, because she's the one who told me about this. And every time I go to see her, if no one's been to the Coleman Park Community Center, Lynn is just, she's a protector of that area. She looks out for all those children. She's currently operating the summer camp there. And we just have a fantastic person on our team who is just a great steward of that neighborhood. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out. And then finally, just something that we spoke about the last meeting that I wanted to continue speaking about was just how our appointments are made within our committees. I don't know whether, if probably just get maybe a meeting either with someone with administration or understanding, because I just don't know how it exactly works, whether every person who applies, every person who applies for specific boards, whether all of those applications get submitted to that committee and they're able to review prior, or whether it's just the one person that's selected. But again, I think that the message that I was hearing was that people want to engage more in understanding who's on our boards, and I think it would probably start with that appointments committee. Actually, I did have one more thing. I mentioned this before in a meeting that we had with the police chief on oversight, and talking about traffic and the terrible incident that happened with the young man who was killed that worked at O'Shea's. I constantly hear, like, where are police cars that are monitoring traffic and oversight? And I know Palm Beach Gardens utilizes kind of what we used to have, which is citizens on patrol, but they're also able to write tickets and oversee when accidents happen, alleviating our officers that are our sworn officers to be able to do other things and move. And I would love to see if we could either partner, understand what Gardens did, and do that here, because we have a lot of active residents who I think would take that on, because we do have a lot of people who are speeding, and sometimes it's unknowing. Some of our roads are wider, and you naturally, you don't realize you're supposed to be going 25 and you're really going 35 to 40, but that matters, and a life could be saved. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to try to bring as much help possible, given some of the staff shortages that we still have. Thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to acknowledge a resident who is 104 years old, and her name is Miss Bodden Stoney, and she was a dressmaker and owned a small grocery store here in West Palm Beach. So I think that's pretty awesome that we have several residents that have lived and are thriving past 100 years old. Resolution number 158-26 submitted an application to the U.S. Department of Transportation. I'd just like to recognize and thank our staff, particularly Dante Drummer, our grants program specialist, for his hard work and persistence in pursuing the grant opportunity along the South Florida rail corridor. If awarded, these funds will help improve safety at the railroad crossings throughout West Palm Beach and help protect residents, pedestrians, motorists, and rail passengers along the transportation corridors. I'd like to recognize and thank Lucy Joseph for going above and beyond to assist a 77-year-old bedridden senior citizen in District 2 who reached out to my office for help. Her emergency housing voucher was set to expire in December, and she's hopeful she can remain in the home where she feels safe and comfortable. The senior is adamant about staying where she is, and I hope the resources and options Lucy helped identify provide her with a path forward and some peace of mind during an uncertain time. Lucy's compassion, persistence, and willingness to explore every available resource made a real difference. I also hope that cities, housing authorities in Palm Beach County continue working together to support our most vulnerable residents whose housing vouchers may be ending, providing not only housing solutions, but also the dignity, stability, and sense of security that every person deserves. Thank you, Lucy, for your outstanding service.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. In the last meeting, we had quite a lot of conversation about the DDA, so I just wanted to announce that tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. they will be having their first meeting with their new board members. that is available to watch on Zoom if anyone wants to watch. It's 8:30 tomorrow morning, July 21st. You can get their Zoom link at the website downtownwpb.com and just get a better sense of what they have going on there. I announced this in the last meeting, but we will be having an infrastructure workshop to talk about the DMP on August 10th at 10 a.m., and that is available to watch on Channel 18 or the City of West Palm Beach YouTube channel. And I wanted to mention that in the last meeting, I congratulated our fire chief, our fire battalion chief, Brian Lamb, for his retirement. And since that time, he has actually been appointed to join the Port board. He was appointed to fill the 5th seat. So congratulations to him. I'm looking forward to working with him. And I just also wanted to comment about the safety of our bike lanes, our bike plan. I know that we have a master plan that's been in the works. Jessica Keller mentioned she should be getting it in the next few weeks. Last week, Commissioner Ward sat in for Commissioner Peduzzi at the MPO meeting. I walked there, she rode her bike there. We, are trying to fully participate in making sure that our city is multimodal and we need it to be safe for everybody. It was such a tragic accident that happened a couple weeks ago, and I want to ensure that going forward that we are making our roads as safe as they can be, and I hope that when we have the new mobility program coming, there will be more options for people not to drive as well. So I know some of these things will be coming together in the next few weeks. I hope that we can schedule a workshop to do a more deep dive so that all residents can know what we have in store and what we're doing to make sure that the future is a much safer way to get around the city. That's all I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Sylvester.
Thank you. I recently had the opportunity to tour the Sound, and for all you in the South End, that's the 8111 property behind Trader Joe's. It's a beautiful project. The pool area is amazing. There's going to be 90 workforce housing units in there. I'm looking forward for it to open. They plan on opening date probably early September. Also, I was honored to attend the Fun Scholars Breakfast, where we celebrated students whose hard work, perseverance, and academic excellence are opening doors to brighter futures. I was also grateful to join school board member Virginia Saviato for a visit to Belvedere Elementary School. I also had the pleasure of touring Mental Health America of the Palm Beaches, located on Fern Street by the train station. At Mental Health America, I met people living with significant mental health challenges who are rebuilding their lives through friendship, purpose, employment, creativity, and community. I saw people creating art, learning new skills, supporting one another, and contributing in meaningful ways. It was a powerful reminder that mental health is health and that recovery is possible when people have the right support in a place where they truly belong. During Mental Health Awareness Month, the city encouraged all of us to wear green to remind our community that mental health matters. I hope we continue carrying the message throughout the year, not just by raising awareness, but by supporting organizations that are making a difference every day. If you're cleaning out a closet or downsizing your home, I encourage you to think of Mental Health America. Gently used clothing, furniture, household goods, books, art supplies, and other useful items can directly benefit people who spend time in that community. I'd also encourage my fellow commissioners and anyone watching to visit Mental Health America of the Palm Beaches. As someone who has seen people on some of the hardest days of their lives, it was inspiring to see what recovery, hope, and community can look like. Organizations like Mental Health America are an important part of the fabric of West Palm Beach, and I'm grateful for the work they do every day. Finally, I was honored to participate in my first groundbreaking ceremony. I have a shovel now, one. ALITA is an exciting project that represents continued investment, growth, and revitalization in our city. That's all I have.
I'd like to say you did a great job at that groundbreaking ceremony. You handled that shovel like a pro. Very briefly, I want to invite our residents to the 4th Annual Community Resource Marketplace on Wednesday, July 22nd from 11 to 2 p.m. at the Mandel Public Library. This free event brings together more than 30 community organizations offering valuable resources and services for families, seniors, veterans, and job seekers. Whether you're looking for information, support, or simply want to learn more about the services available in our community, I encourage you to stop by and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. We hope to see you there. Excuse me. Vintage Vibes, Back to School Edition, returns to the West Palm Beach waterfront on Saturday, August 1st from 5 to 9 p.m. This free family event will feature live entertainment, games, food trucks, local vendors, and activities for all ages. The first 500 students will also receive a free back-to-school kit with pre-registration. I want to thank our partners at the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority, along with our community events team, for creating opportunities to bring families together and help our students start the school year strong. We hope you will join us for a fun evening on the waterfront. For more information and to register for a back-to-school kit, visit WPB.org/vintage vibes. That's WPB.org/vintage vibes. That concludes my remarks for tonight. Good night, and God bless you, and God bless the great city of West Palm Beach. This meeting is adjourned.